Joe Rogan Podcast, check it out.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
Train by day, Joe Rogan Podcast by night, all day.
What's up? How are you? Good, man. Dude, you're a resident gun nut.
Hey, I take it.
Like, anytime there's a gun issue, you're my go-to guy.
I'm not gonna argue with that.
Well, nobody knows more. I don't know anybody. I mean, there might be a dude out there, but he's probably dangerous.
Yeah, I'll probably learned a lot from him anyway. So,
So what's happening, man? How's everything?
Nothing much, man. I'm glad to have you so close now.
Yeah. We're state residents now.
Yeah, you are.
How far is the drive from Dallas?
The way I do it, or the way normal people do it?
He shouldn't say that on the air, man. There's a lot of cops out here.
I do it fast legally.
How you do that?
I mean, that's another story.
What do you have, a fucking jet?
I mean,
what's fast legally?
Jet on land.
Yeah, but that's not legal.
Yeah,
There's a speed limit, sir.
I'm a lawyer, man. I plead the
Okay. Let's just leave it at that.
A bunch of legal.
You know, Montana didn't have a speed limit for a long time. They had no speed limit. They were like, we don't give a fuck up here.
Dude, that sounds like my place to be.
Yeah, Montana's pretty badass, but I think they had to get a speed limit to get some state or federal funding or something like that.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, the federal government's like, look, enough of this shit. People are going up there to test cars.
I mean, look, Germany, they have the Autobahn.
I know.
Right?
Right.
Like, just let me, look, it's getting ridiculous. Like in my car right now, I have a radar detector that's built in, and then I have a radar detector that I keep on my little dash.
You have a double radar?
Yeah.
Is this the Ferrari?
No. This is the Turbo S. I have a 2014 Turbo S.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a ridiculously fast car. And then the 2022 makes that thing seem like a goddamn Prius.
It's stupid.
It's so crazy.
Stupid. Like and that thing is so god.
2.5 seconds. 2.5 seconds, 0 to 60.
I have to wonder, where do you go from there?
We're going wherever it is. We're going. Like Tesla is where we're going.
This is true. I remember we had this conversation before, and
my Tesla is preposterous, man. My Tesla is faster than the 2022 Turbo S. Faster, 2.4 seconds, 0 to 60. So it's a tenth of a second faster, 0 to 60, and it feels like it, dude.
I'm still fighting it.
I know.
I'm still fighting it.
I know. Listen, man. I have a regular car too. I have a couple regular cars.
Yeah.
That sound is the sound of a real combustion engine is the shit.
I'm still full of shit though, because the Turbo S sounds like a damn Dyson vacuum.
That's true. It does. It does, right?
It's like, so I'm kind of contradicting myself in a lot of ways in that manner.
They said they're never going to make the 911 electric though.
That's good to know. I mean, they just released the 992 GT3, which is naturally aspirated, rear-wheel drive.
Look at that.
I just put in an order for it.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
I love the rear steering.
The funny thing is, when they released it initially, I hated it.
The rear steering?
No, the car.
Really? How could you hate that?
Because the 991 GT3, I loved how proportionate the wing was to the rest of the body. It just seemed like it was part of it. And when they went with the swan neck spoiler, I hated it because it just seemed disjointed.
You got any other pictures of this, Jamie? With that spoiler? The thing's dope.
No, and now I think it's beautiful.
It's a really amazing company if you think of Porsche. They've taken this one car from the 1960s and they've just consistently updated it. There's no other car company like it.
Not at all.
Like even Corvettes now are mid-engine, right?
Yeah.
So Corvette doesn't look nothing. Corvette looks like a Ferrari now.
But from what I understand, initially the design of Corvette was to be mid-engine.
Really?
Yeah, from what I've learned.
Okay, that looks pretty dope.
Yeah. No, I think the 992, the rear end of the 992 is probably the best rear end on a vehicle out right now.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah. Especially with that light, that uninterrupted light bar in the back. It's just
pretty smart of them too to make them all wide body too.
Yeah.
It's like nobody wants that narrow bitch. Skinny bitch. I'm not a fan of that front hood though.
Why?
I don't know. It just looks.
Somebody said it looks like a Mario's brother character.
It just doesn't look as good as like if you go with the 991 GT2 RS hood. You know, like that kind of hood is just, I don't know. It just seems better. It seems odd, those weird creases, but maybe I'll get used to it. But the interior is spectacular.
Oh, they killed it on the interior. Because usually Porsche interiors are really Spartan in a kind of uninspiring way. Now it's a beautiful balance of practicality, I can't say that word for some reason. What the hell's wrong with me?
That's practicality.
Practicality.
That is a good. Right? That's a weird one.
But then also still being, still feeling very luxurious without being ostentatious.
And it's a manual. You can get a fucking manual.
So
look at that wheel too.
About that.
You not into that?
I am and I'm not. I think sometimes people make much to do about nothing with respect to manuals. Like, I think it's kind of the cool thing to do is to be like, yeah, I got a manual.
Yeah, like a man.
Yeah.
That's me.
I feel you.
Bro.
Yeah, but sometimes I wonder, because it's like, it could be synonymous to arguing about having a Nokia flip phone.
No, it's not. No, this is why. Because it feels good to use. A flip phone is goofy. But I'll tell you what, I haven't used.
Well, closing it feels good.
And then let you hang up on people. You're fired, Jetson. Snap that thing shut.
I think what it is for me, because I'm being a little facetious because I do love manuals. The problem is, so I had a 2015 Aston Martin Vantage. That was a manual, 6-speed manual, which I probably should have held on to now.
If you did, it'd probably be breaking down every 5 minutes.
This is true. This is true. But it would have held its value a lot more than Aston Martins typically do. But I remember I used to love it because I would just run it through the gate and had a really heavy clutch and a really high bite point. So generally speaking, it's terrible. But I got so used to it that I love it now. And except for there was one day I was driving, I was coming back. I think I was on 35. Everybody from Dallas knows 35 is trash. And I'm on 35 during rush hour. It took me 2.5 hours to get home.
Oh.
After that, I literally got home. I put it up. I was like, I'm selling this car. I want nothing to do with it. That's how bad that experience was.
That I can understand. Yeah. If you don't have another car and you live in a place with traffic, I get it. Yeah. That's not what you want.
Bad.
You want an automatic for that. Yeah, it's the difference between just chilling and being super annoyed.
Yeah.
For 2 hours.
For 2 hours straight.
And if you have a stiff clutch, then your left leg gets a little tired, and then you feel like a real bitch. You're like, I can't believe I'm getting sore. I'm getting some lactic acid buildup in my left leg by pushing on my clutch.
Now, if I lived in Austin, I think I would have still had a manual.
Yeah, the traffic here is a joke.
Yeah, but I mean, at least I have somewhere to go to. Like, I can run off into the hills, hill country, and drive around those roads there. Yeah. Where in Dallas, I can't. There's nowhere for me to really just drive for the sake of driving.
I gotta tell you though, there's a lot of cops out here.
Oh yeah, there are.
A lot of cops waiting around to bust people.
But the beautiful thing about having, for instance, like the really curvy roads, winds and twisty roads. You have a great time going 40, 50 miles an hour.
Yes, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
you do.
You don't have to go.
Feel it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
and in a car like that, that's what it's all about.
Exactly.
I love driving manuals. It's not just a meathead thing. Like I have a 2005 E46 M3. Yeah. And that's not even that fast.
It's not. But I mean,
I love it.
That's classic. I mean, that is when BMW was BM fucking W.
Yeah, it feels like it's hard to describe to people that aren't car nuts, but there's an intangible feeling of like connectedness to that car when I drive it. Yeah. I don't have to be going fast, but I do go fast sometimes. But it's not even that though. It's the way the car gives you feedback. Yeah, it gives you feedback in like my GT3 RS. I have a 2007 GT3 RS. That car is basically like. You shouldn't be able to drive it on the street. It's a preposterous car. 518 horsepower. It's a Sharkworks car. It sounds like a dragon, and it's so fast. But it's much more rowdy. Like that, it's got a real stiff clutch, and that car is it's a thing. You're doing a thing. Yeah. It's not really transportation. The BMW is transportation, but it's like engaging transportation.
I mean, it literally was the reason why when I was looking like my 14 Turbo S now. I was going back and forth between the 14 or 15, or the 15 because 14 is when the engines were blowing up. But the 15 GT3 versus the Turbo S. And I was going back and forth. And I'm like, man, I love how the sensorial effects of the GT3 are just phenomenal. Yeah. And then I got in a Turbo S and I realized for my lifestyle, living here in Dallas in the city, it makes more sense to get the Turbo S.
Yeah, and it's like a time machine. The way it gets from point A to point B, it's
I may or may not have, with my business partner, launch controlled the son of a bitch.
May or may not have.
I may
or
may not.
You probably did.
No, I didn't.
I don't think you did.
He did mention something about feeling like he was on a roller coaster.
Yeah, man, that's what they do feel like when they push you back. And what's crazy is it's a full second faster for the 2022. A full second 0 to 60. which is so nuts. Like, to anybody get in that car and say, this is not enough.
No.
Well, that's what Elon's done with the new Teslas.
Yep.
My car goes 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds. I have a 2019 or something, 2020 P100D, right? Model S P100D, is that how you say it? And the new one, the plaid version, goes 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. That's the 2022.
I mean, the only next step to go to is flight.
Well, I think he's going to get it to 1.5 in the Roadster,
and then we'll do flying cars.
Yeah, I mean, it probably gets
that's
probably get to 1 second 0 to 60 soon. We will see that in our life. We'll see 1 second 0 to 60.
Now, what is that going to do to the body? From a G's
the human body?
From a G's perspective. We're going to get to a point where the G's start affecting human body in a negative
people
manner.
start throwing up.
Yeah, no.
Have you ever been in a jet, like a fighter jet?
No, I refuse.
You refuse? But you like speed.
I do. That's a weird thing. I am a walking contradiction. Like,
at least you know it.
I will go. I'm not saying I've done this, but theoretically speaking, I will go 135 down a freeway, right? Balls to the wall. Put me in a helicopter to hunt hogs. Not happening.
You're not interested in that?
Nope.
Because helicopters crash.
I just know too much about helicopter crashes.
They do crash. They do crash. But if you're in a helicopter with someone who's like a really good pilot who knows they're doing, it's well maintained, the odds are very low that you're going to crash.
They are. Now, I'm not. See, there's nothing rational about my fear. It's dumb. It's dumb, unmitigated fear. It just makes no sense.
There is a thing though that if you crash and die while hunting hogs, people will celebrate your death. That is a fact. There's a certain number of people out there. If you crash like going to bring water to Botswana, people are like, "Oh my God, he was an amazing person." If you crash eradicating feral hogs in Texas, they're like, "You piece of shit." For sure, right?
This is true.
Even though they have to do it, and that's one of the most effective ways to do it.
I mean, I'm hated right now. Well, I'm celebrated and hated right now at the moment.
Well, tell me about this, because you did your first hunt. You hunted a bison, ethical kill, beautiful big animal. You'll have fantastic meat for a year.
Yeah.
You'll be able to give it to your friends and family. What's the problem?
I don't know. Like, I've been a 2A advocate for what, 16 years?
For you nerds out there, that's Second Amendment.
Yeah, like
right to bear arms.
Guns, pew pew.
Jamie's got a gun.
Right? You got a gun, Jamie? It's Texas.
I'm missing parts of it.
Wait, how long have you been in Texas?
He got a gun with the first month.
Yeah,
Tim Kennedy gave him the first week. Was it our first week?
So.
You should be about at 5 or 6 right now. We got to bump those rookie numbers up.
I got 3 this week.
I know, so you get 1 a week, or
I did get 3 this week. I'm not
more
joking.
shoes since I've been here.
Jamie's a sneakerhead.
I'm a transient sneaker. I'm a nostalgic sneakerhead.
Yeah. Oh, you like the old school ones?
Well, just the shoes that I couldn't buy when I was younger.
Oh,
like
okay.
now that I have a little bit of money, I'm like, okay, yeah, let me get these. Like I just bought the Reebok Questions, the Allen Iversons.
Oh, those look good.
Yeah.
I'm generally not a Reebok fan, but those are pretty dope looking.
No, those were. I remember those. I mean, I was obsessed with Iverson. Yeah. But yeah, man. Like, all right, I go on this hunt. It's my first. Like, I've hunted hogs, right?
Right.
But just a real hunt.
Real hunt.
Real hunt. Even though hunting hogs is a real hunt. That's a real hunt. I won't give people the misconception that it's not real, but
there's a lot of them.
Exactly. In Texas, it's kind of like what you do because there are just so many of them and they're causing so much damage. And so my ammo sponsor, Nosler, they were like, "Hey, look, you want to come on a bison hunt? We have an opportunity. We have a spot for you to go on a bison hunt. By the way, they have a rifle coming for you."
Yeah, that's number 3 for the week.
Yeah, no, right.
At the range right now. It's hilarious.
So it would literally be the same rifle that I used to hunt my buffalo with. So we go there, and so I'm like, yeah, cool, let's do it, right? I'm like, fine, let's go hunt a buffalo. And I've always looked at buffaloes as being they're just majestic animals. They're beautiful.
Yeah, they're amazing.
And I also love bison burgers. So for me, it just made sense. I'm like, okay, so let me get this straight. You have a guy who 90% of the time Uber eats his food.
That's what you do? 90% of the time?
Yeah.
90?
It's bad, bro. It's pretty bad.
You trust those dudes?
No.
They're going to pick your fries?
I don't trust them at all. But
I do it anyway?
Yeah. It's more it's purely out of convenience. It's a time thing for me.
I get it.
Because it's like my whole day is so filled. It's literally the moment I wake up, I've got to make every aspect of my life as efficient as possible.
I get it.
But, I've always said, my dad was an executive chef. And so for me, I've always said, you know what, I'm gonna sit down and just really learn how to cook, right? And so I was like, what better way to start than cooking my own bison meat?
Perfect.
Right? So I had all the perfect justifications and reasons to go on a bison hunt. So I go on a bison hunt, and I remember we're driving. So like the place is expansive. Like it's
Where'd
huge.
you go?
It was in Pueblo, Colorado, and so it was freaking beautiful, man. And so we're going and we're looking for the bison, and we finally find there's like 4 of them, 4 older males that apparently they're no longer breeding or mating or anything like that. They're just really honestly causing havoc.
Right.
They're killing other buffalo and you know, shit like that. And then I learned really quickly buffaloes are assholes.
Assholes. We'll get into that in a bit because it's a good part of your story.
Yeah. So we're sitting there, and so we find buffalo. So we got to figure out how to approach them, right? Because we don't want to spook them, right? They're very skittish, very skittish. And so what we did was we decided, because it was very hilly, and so we decided, all right, so we're going to walk around the hill, come up over the crest of the hill, and then take the shot from there. So we walked, trekked around the hill, went up the hill, got situated. And
you have a guide?
Yeah, we had a guide.
You?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And set the gun down. And the guys, when we were on the way to the place where we were going to go hunt, he was like, look, you're going to get what they call buck fever. You know what that is?
Oh, yeah.
He's like, you're going to get buck fever. You're going to get anxious. Your heart's going to start pounding, especially when you see the animal through your optics. You're talking to somebody who's, for the better half of 10 years, been shooting at still targets and paper. Right. So I was like, okay, good to know. So we sat down, get the rifle up there. I didn't get buck fever. It was weird. I got extremely calm. It was extremely quiet. And I remember looking through the optic and seeing the buffalo, because at this point it was broadside initially, and then it turned. And so literally he and I were looking at each other through the optic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so it was an interesting experience. It was different because in a weird way I developed an insatiable amount of respect for the buffalo during this whole process. I don't even know really quite how to explain it. You're more of a hunter than I am, so maybe you can tell me. But I remember taking the shot. He did not go down instantly, so I had to take another shot. Here's where it got interesting. Soon as you could see he starts bleeding a little bit, so you know he's getting ready to go down. The 3 buffalo that he was with, these were supposed to be his friends. At least that's what I thought. Soon as they catch wind of the fact that he's hurt, the 3 of them start chasing him. And they start coming up to attack him. I mean, they have their horns and they're trying to gore him. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? And guys like, that's what they do. The moment they sense weakness in a bigger buck, they attack him. Almost as if to say,
yeah, you got to call them bulls. If you call
bulls,
them bucks,
I get confused. Yeah, my bad, guys. Yeah,
okay.
Bulls. Yeah. So they attack him apparently, almost as if to say, hey, finally, it's my turn now, right, to be the big dog. And so they start attacking. So my bull takes off running, and I'm like, shit, we got to go after this thing now, right? So now he takes off running, and I can't get another shot off because he's taking off running around another hill. So now we have to dismount, get up, and start following him. And so then we get closer. He comes back around the other side of the hill. They're still chasing him, and they're goring him the whole time. And so finally, he drops, but he's still kind of he's still kind of on his hind legs a little bit. So I was like, I've got to put this guy out of his misery, right? And I think he's running off pure adrenaline at this point. And so I get down, take the shot. He drops. He's done. Now at this point, the smaller of the 3 bulls that remains, he's still with my buffalo, kind of like, get up, I dare you. And he's just kind of like, I'm like, what the hell? And then the 2 bigger bulls are now going at it. I mean, insanely. They're just boom, 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 boom. Wow. So I'm like, what the hell? So we can't do anything.
You have to wait.
Yeah. So I'm like, so we're like about 70 yards away, just kind of on the top of the hill, like just over the crest of the hill, just kind of waiting, because we don't want them to see us, because then their attention's going to turn to something else. So now at this point, they're going at it. I mean, it's nuts. I got it on video.
Oh, wow.
And they're just, I'm like, they're going to kill each other.
Can you show us the video?
I don't have it on me now.
Oh, yeah,
but yeah.
like, did you
Yeah,
film it
my
on the
videographer,
camcorder? Okay.
yeah, he has it. So at this point, I'll send it to you if you want it.
Okay.
And at this point, they stop. And then they do this. I'm like, oh,
They
shit.
turned and looked at you? Oh, no.
And
And you only have a tag for one buffalo, so it's not
Exactly.
like you can shoot them if they run at you.
And not only that,
no.
I only have one round in my rifle.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah, but me being the gun guy that I am, I had a 10mm handgun with me.
Did you have a 10mm handgun in case?
Yes. I'm not playing with you fools.
So just in case something goes wrong in the buffalo,
That is
do you think
literally-
you could stop a buffalo with a 10mm handgun?
You know, doing honest truth?
Yeah.
No.
I don't think so.
But
You'd hurt them
it's better
than not having
than
one.
not having one.
Yeah. For
And
sure.
and at bare minimum, I would at least hope that it would make it seem like the buffalo's like, I could keep running through this, but this is harder than it needs to be. So
Right.
I'm just gonna go the other direction.
Yeah, I wonder what a 10mm, like when guys hunt bear or when they hunt in bear country and they bring a gun, there's a lot of debate about what round to bring. Like a lot of guys bring a 45.
See, I was gonna bring a Ruger. I have a Ruger Red Hawk Alaskan 454 Casull. I was gonna bring that. The only problem is my host. I ordered a rig holster, a chest holster for it. It didn't come in fast enough. Damn, shipping. so I was already gone before it came in.
Right.
And so I would have carried that because that I think would have done a better job.
So you wanted to have it on you, not in a pack.
Yeah, no, I
Even
wanted
though
it
you
on
have
me.
the rifle, you want it just in case.
So
Yeah.
there's I'm a tactical shooter, right? So to
Right.
speak, you know, for people who kind of send different types of shooters. I'm not a hunter. I hunt, but I wouldn't consider myself a hunter. I'm more like a tactical shooter. I have ARs, you know, semi-automatic handguns, things of that nature. So, you know, you can take the tactical shooter off of the range. You can't take the tactical shooter out of the tactical shooter.
Right.
So
you think tactically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, I have my handgun, and then I also, as soon as because the other guys were going to get their bull too, I switched out. Instead of having the bolt action, I went and got an AR, and that's what I was carrying the rest of the hunt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So how many guys were you with that were hunting?
3.
So, and they all went and got buffaloes as well?
Yeah, well, it was me, and on the day that I did it, 2 of us got buffalo. And his hunt was insane. His hunt was freaking insane because we spotted them, and so we tried the same thing. We tried to ride around the hill to get up top to shoot from there, from that position. And however, between us doing that, coming around the hill, they had actually come to the bottom of the hill. So when we peeked over the crest, they caught wind of us and took off. So now what would have been maybe a 100 or 200 yard shot has now turned into a 500 yard shot. So the guy, Garrett, literally was already getting set up. They took off running. He didn't even hesitate. He took off in a full sprint with his bolt action rifle, takes off, gets in another position. The guide has these binoculars that range find. So he's yelling it out as the buffalo are running. He's like 300, 400. That's another thing. I didn't know these things could move this fast.
They move quick.
They
for
move
big
quickly.
animals.
Yeah. Like people who have like city, look, all these city rats who are like me, because I'm a city rat, right? Grew up in the city. I don't know shit about animals like that, except for what I watch on Netflix when I get drunk. So these things move.
They move.
And then they cover so much ground because they're so big. So it's not like their legs are moving that fast. They just cover a lot of ground quickly. And so the guide's like 300, 400, 500, and he's boom, drops them.
Wow.
It gets up. I was like, what in the world? It gets up and starts running again. So now he has to, now he's like 560, boom, drops him. It gets up again. So I'm like, gosh, and we're not using bullshit rounds here. So at this point, so now we dismount, we start walking up and getting closer. So I have my little AR with me, and he was with, remember, this is the other 2 that were fighting before. So, because it took us almost 3 or 4 hours to find him again. So this time, so after he tagged him, dropped him, now he's up again, his friend is now running back around towards us as we're walking towards him. And so I'm like, oh, but they can't see it from their vantage point because I'm further back. And so I'm just like, hey, his friend is coming.
Oh no, coming to attack?
I don't know. I'm a fish out of water here. I'm just kind of like I just see a buffalo running and I just assume the worst. And so now I'm like, hey, so I start running up and I'm like, so I rack around into my AR. I don't know what the hell this thing's gonna do. Right. I'm just preparing for the worst. But long story short, he just kept running. Like he didn't come to attack. He just kept running.
He's just trying to get the fuck out.
Yeah, he was kind of disoriented. He's like, you know where the danger is. He's like, then they killed 2 of my homeboys already.
Right.
And so he's gone. And I remember the buffalo now is on the ground, and he's trying to stand up.
Jesus Christ.
They are, and his hits were good, but man, they are tough son of bitches, man. And he drops
an enormous animal.
Oh my God, they're huge.
They're so big.
They're huge. And all I remember is he hits him again and he drops. And then the buffalo does this. So it's like he's facing this way, right? Drops and the buffalo goes, whoo, and just snarls at him.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and I'm like, it's kind of a G. like
oh,
I had so much respect for this thing, man. And, you know, inevitably he ended up dying. But that was my first buffalo hunt. Right.
First hunt, period. Right. First hunt. Anyway.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. And then after that, you know, we took the buffalo, got skinned, processed the meat, all that stuff. I'm still waiting for the meat to get here. Yeah. So then I put a video together about all of this that I just told you and put it up on my social media page. That got interesting. There are a lot of people who don't like hunting.
Now, do you think these people also ate meat? Or were
I'm pretty sure of it.
Some of them.
I think there was some, because I even put up a question. I said, honestly speaking, honest question, do vegans and anti-hunters get mad at lions? And my whole thing was, I eat meat. I respect people who don't, but I don't see what the problem with me killing my own food is. I just don't. I'm at a loss here.
What was the was there a common argument against what you were doing?
Yeah, a lot of people were saying. Some people not saying not a lot, because the positive was actually overwhelmingly positive, but there was just a noticeable uptick in like the negative comments. And
isn't that just social media in general?
Pretty much. Yeah, but I mean, you told me not to read the comments. You did.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, you have a fucking giant dead animal and you're standing there with a rifle. I'm like, bro.
I never posted that. Here's a crazy thing. In the video.
Oh, that picture you sent me, you never posted?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, in the video, you don't even see the actual buffalo get shot.
Oh, okay.
No. You see me shoot the gun, but you don't see the buffalo get shot. You don't even see the dead buffalo in the video.
That's going to make hunters mad.
I figured
they want to see. They want to see it. They want to see the hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might have to put it on Patreon or something.
Just put it on YouTube, man. Just put it on YouTube. Hunters will welcome you to the fold. First of all, they'll love you because they're already a Second Amendment advocate, a lawyer.
That's what happened.
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
definitely what happened. And you know, and I welcomed it. I really did, because
those are the people you want on your side anyway.
Yeah.
They're logical about their food consumption and where it comes from and if you're a meat eater that doesn't support hunting, I just don't know what to tell you.
I don't either.
If you don't want to be responsible for your own food, I don't. You know, that argument is not going to hold up. You know, you could say it if no one's going back and forth with you on social media, and that's what a lot of it is.
Yeah.
But it's just a lot of people that don't want to accept the reality of where food comes from. You know, they don't like it. It's uncomfortable for them. And
the thing about it is, it's like, okay, I get it if you don't want to face the reality of it, but to judge me for doing the thing that you don't want to see, even though you benefit from it, from the standpoint of having to kill an animal in order to eat it, I think it's ridiculous.
Dude, it's whatever you do, there's going to be haters. And as your profile has continued to rise, as you become more and more popular online, your hater count goes up too. Which
is true. And I don't account for that, I think.
Yeah.
I don't, because because it's and like I said, I did notice a difference when you told me to stop reading the comments, and I did notice a difference.
You feel better, right?
Yeah, but I'm like an addict though, right?
Right.
So it's like I'll find myself just instinctively.
Yeah, that's not healthy. You know what I mean? It's not healthy.
It's not,
because you'll find one comment that's just ignorant and asshole-ish, and it'll fuck with your head, and then you'll be hanging out with your girlfriend, or you're having a good time with your friend, you'll be eating dinner, and then you just think about that one shitty comment. I'm like, fuck that guy.
The most dangerous is when I'm because I go to bars by myself a lot, and so I'll be at a bar eating, drinking, and there'll be that one comment, and I'm like, oh shit, it's coming. Because at that point, my filter's off. Right. So like I've already got like 2 drinks in me, and then it's just like.
And then you go back and forth with them.
Oh, it's bad, bro.
Yeah, that's not wise.
No, it's not.
You want harmony and peace in your life as whenever possible. You can't.
Yeah.
And if you just seek out, the thing about social media is like these people are not in your life. You can bring them in your life if you choose to. When you put something online, those folks that comment, they're not really in your life. They want to get in there by saying, fuck you, you piece of shit, you shot that buffalo, it's a majestic creature, they're almost extinct, we almost lost them all, which kind of is true. It is true. At one point in time.
The whole point of what we're doing out there was to preserve. I know it seems counterintuitive, but I mean, isn't that how conservation works?
Well, people need to understand where the money goes. The money goes to habitat enhancement. Like when there's a thing called the Pittman-Robertson Act, or the Pittman-Robertson, I think it is. And it's hunters agreed to it, and I believe it's 10%. So 10% of sales of whether it's ammunition, hunting licenses, gear, all that shit goes to conservation.
Okay.
So there's more money raised by hunters for conservation, preservation of wetlands for wild birds, and all to pay for people to monitor populations and make sure that the correct amount of tags are allocated so that there's not an over harvesting, and then also that animals don't get out of control, because if they get out of control, then diseases can spread and a lot of other shit, and research about diseases. All that stuff comes from hunting. And it's not coming from wildlife advocates. It's not coming from, PETA or any of these people. Way more money for conservation comes from hunting.
I was doing I watched a video about why is it so hard to start a business in California. And one of the problems that I think a lot of builders are running into, like when you like real estate development, is you start running into these animal activist groups who will literally try to shut down your project with lawsuits on the grounds of, this is a natural habitat for such and such and such. But it really honestly is a revenue generating scheme. It's kind of like their way of kind of poaching money from a project through legal means.
Yeah, getting you to donate.
Exactly.
Air quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It does happen in some situations, especially with large swaths of land.
Gotcha.
It's almost inevitable.
I thought that was very interesting.
California's so fucked in so many ways with that.
Which hurts my heart because the potential there is just amazing.
Well, that's the problem is, I hate to say it, but there's just too many people. Yeah. When you get too many people, 2 things happen. One, everybody is liberal. I don't know why that's the case.
That is true.
It's the truth.
That is very true.
New York, California is, I think everybody's living together, and so they think they're being compassionate, and I get it. Like their heart's in the right place. They think they're doing the right thing. But it's also whenever you have large populations, you have a large amount of universities. And universities, you have people that are teaching at these universities that are almost predominantly liberal, and they're teaching all these people, and they're a lot of times they're teaching, and it's not from a place of experience in the real world. Their experience is in academia. They went to school, they got out of school, they taught school, and that's their life. And then they're teaching kids, and then they keep teaching kids Marxism, socialism, communist ideals, these ideas about this utopian version of society that can be created, but they don't even live in society. Like they really don't.
They literally live in a microcosm of academia, literally.
But that microcosm is currently infecting all these businesses because these people leave, and then they have these ideals that they want to inject into these businesses when they leave, and in their early 20s, they're idealistic. They want to change the world for the better. They want to stomp out all the bad things in the world. They want to reshape it in a more equitable way. And boy, there's a lot of regulation that comes into that. And then you got a lot of businesses that can't handle all this regulation, and they move out of state. And then there's a lot of weird shit going on, man. California is just, and when it comes to wildlife, it's really crazy. You know, they've outlawed a lot of different kinds of hunting. They almost outlawed bear hunting in California. They came really close. And then they got so much blowback from hunters because so many people are like, first of all, you have a lot of black bear in California, a lot, and they eat a lot of deer. This is one of the things where wildlife biologists are really important because they will monitor populations and they can estimate like what amount of fawns are victims of predation because of mountain lions versus bears. And bears and mountain lions, they kill a fucking staggering amount of deer, staggering amount of animals.
Comes to mind is that one video of the guy who was hiking, and then he got attacked by the cougar.
Oh, the one that was running at him?
Yeah, that was running at him.
Well, that guy fucked up. That is a scary video, man.
That's why I carry a 10mm.
That's a good move. For that, that's a good move.
Like, because we have them in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, if I'm going hog hunting, I am worried about a mountain lion.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and usually if they are hunting you, it's kind of too late.
See if you can find that video, because that video freaks me out.
It really does.
I didn't know they moved like that.
I didn't either.
I think it was a female, and I think she had cubs, and I think she was trying to scare him off.
Gotcha.
I don't think she was trying to kill him, but when she's running with her arms like,
out, yeah, that's seared in my brain.
Ooh,
like it's just like
a demon.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, look, I give him this. He handled it like a G.
Yeah.
But
he was probably paralyzed with fear.
Yeah. But it would have been a lot. It probably would have ended a lot quicker.
With you.
I'm just saying, like, I don't want to shoot it, but I don't have to.
Yeah, but you want to come home.
I'm going home.
Yeah, you're going home. I'm going home too. But I hear you. Yeah, I don't want to shoot. I love mountain lions. I think they're cool as fuck. I love wolves too.
My high school mascot was a cougar. Right. That was a pretty far reach. But anyway,
that's a reach.
That's a reach, like motherfucker.
Did you have a guy that? Here it is. Can you give me some volume? I want to hear the volume.
Shit. Go away! Go away!
And it's just walking towards him.
You're good. You're a good little kitty cat. Oh. Holy.
That thing's way too close right there.
Yeah. I think you're right, though. I think it was a female.
Holy shit.
Oh, it's 100% a female.
That it was.
Because at the beginning of the video, the cubs...
Come on. Ah!
That thing is so not worried about him, but it's moving so slow.
Yeah. No. I'm being scary. I'm being...
It's too close. It's already too close.
You can tell he's paralyzed by fear because of what he's saying. Initially, it's funny, but I can tell that's
back
pure
up,
fear.
back up.
Yeah.
See, there it is. Nuts. That's it.
No, go away. Go away. No.
That shit is so scary.
No. Fuck you, dude.
Fuck you, dude. But it's that thing running with the arms out of the sides
dude,
like
it's
this.
Nuts.
I didn't know they did that. But I think that's just that's a scare posture.
But and see, now that you say that and looking at it, that's what I think it was. I think she really was trying to scare him away.
Yeah, she has cubs.
Yeah.
She didn't want them eating her
Which
babies.
is understandable.
Yeah.
It's understandable. I mean, that's what happens when you have the cross dynamic of humans and animals living
and a
in
bear. If a bear was there and she was doing that, the bear would eat her cubs.
Pretty much.
They eat cubs. They eat bear cubs.
You saw this, right?
What is that?
This bear got really close to this group of skiers.
Oh no!
Where
is this?
Not in America.
This bear was off.
It started chasing him down the ski hill, and it's going fast.
No, bears are fast.
Bro, that is terrifying.
Fast. And it's all the way down the hill. It gets far away, and then it catches back up because he can't go fast enough. It gets so close.
Oh my God, that's so dangerous. That's a brown bear too. Those are the worst. Look at all the skiers hanging around this bear's
Look
running.
how fast it is.
That's a small bear.
And I was just going to say that too.
It seems like a little baby is just checking him out, but still it's scary.
Whatever, that'll kill you.
Yeah.
That baby's practicing on people.
It's.
I told you the one time I saw a grizzly it's only like 6 foot. It wasn't a big bear. It scared the shit out of me though. I've seen a lot of black bears. I've only seen one grizzly.
You just had a 6 foot grizzly.
They're not big. A big grizzly's 12 feet.
That's big to me.
It's big, but it was for a grizzly. It was a young grizzly.
Okay.
But dude, the look in that thing's eyes was so different than anything I've ever looked at before.
Primal.
It was trying to figure out if it's gonna eat me. It's so different than like a black bear looks at you and they're like, "Oh, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Why are you here?" And they're looking at you like, "I got to get the fuck out of here," because they think of people as something that hunts them. Because this is in Alberta, and in Alberta you can hunt black bear, you can't hunt grizzly bear.
Okay.
And it's not wise because there's a lot of them. and they've overcome a lot of these areas that were traditional black bear areas. Now grizzlies are taking over, and we were out in the woods, and I saw this grizzly bear just looking at me like this, like looking you right in the eyes. It's a different look, and you're like, oh, fuck all this. I remember thinking, imagine if this was like a big one, like a 11-footer or something like that. We got the fuck out of Dodge.
Dude, and look at how fast that thing was. Like, I think we undervalue how fast these animals are. Because I literally, at one point, used to think that I could outrun them. I just think, I just run. Just run. I'm pretty fast.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, they run all day.
Yeah,
that's what they do. And they're fucking
and they cover ground. Yeah,
giant, man. Their shoulders and arms are.
Honestly, after what I experienced with that buffalo hunt, you know, my respect level for these animals just tenfold.
Yeah.
In terms of what they can do. And I did see some people make comments about, and I could be wrong about what I'm about to say here, but this is the way I see it. Somebody was like, oh, you know, it's not really hunting. You went out there with a gun and you shot a buffalo.
Yeah, but they say that about me when I hunt with a bow and arrow. You will fucking go get him with a knife because you're tough.
I'm like, but see, somebody did say that. And I was like, what do you want me to do? You want me to run up there with a machete? I can't catch him. He's faster than me. There's no way for me to do it.
Not only that, even if you did catch him, the machete wouldn't kill him. And even if the thing didn't fight back, you know how long it would take to kill a buffalo with a machete?
I shot mine 3 times.
Yeah, with what round?
The 28 Nosler. And that thing, and I mean, it dropped. It just kept getting up. So I'm like, what do you want me to do? And the thing is, when I made the lion analogy, some people were like, well, you know, why don't you, like, a lion actually has to hunt its kill. I'm like, a lion's also 500 pounds, can outrun me ×3, and also has claws the size of my fucking head.
You can't listen to those people. They're not making any sense. They never make any sense. It's really either they don't want anybody to ever kill animals, or they just want to yell at you. Those are the two reasons why they're doing that.
This is true.
Yeah. If you're going to eat meat, you're going to get people. If you just post a steak, there's going to be a certain amount of people that go vegan to get mad at you.
I ate the heart in the video.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's delicious, right?
Yeah.
Did you eat the liver?
Nope.
The liver's really good. It's really good for you, too.
I didn't eat the liver, not because I didn't want to, just because we just didn't have the liver yet.
The Comanches used to take the liver and slice it and eat it raw, and they would season it with bile juice. They would take the gallbladder juice and they would squirt it on the liver and eat it that way because I guess it was kind of salty.
Oh.
I've never tried it. I've eaten raw liver before, which is not the best way to eat liver.
I can imagine.
Yeah, liver's better when it's cooked.
I mean, my heart was cooked.
Cooked heart is very good.
Yeah.
In heart is so chewy.
It wasn't that bad. I thought it was going to be worse.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I really did. But I mean, when I say worse, like even when I ate it, it wasn't bad at all. Like, it was good.
It's so good for you. It's so rich in nutrients.
I mean, like I said, I love bison meat. Like Did
you take any of the meat home? Did you cut any of it out, or did you get it all?
I got it. They're going to be shipping all of that over to me.
You're going to have hundreds of pounds of meat. Do you have a big enough freezer?
No, that's why I'm going to be giving some to my friends.
Yeah, you're going to need, like, I'll show you out there. We have 2 commercial freezers that I keep elk in. Yeah, and it's amazing how much meat you get.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to definitely the funny thing is they're not even sending it to me. They're sending it to a friend of mine who has a freezer for it.
Okay.
And then from there, I'm gonna order a freezer, then put my portion of it, then give him some, give my mom some. I told my mom about this, and she was like, "You did what?"
Your mom didn't know you were going hunting.
She didn't. She was just like, because I didn't even warn her. I just sent her the picture afterwards. Yeah. And so she called. She's like, "You did that?" And I was like, "Yeah, Mom." She's like, "You had a buffalo?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "How was it?" I was like, "It was good. It was fun. It was, it was an experience." She was like, "Huh, okay."
So she just accepted it.
Yeah, I mean, my mom eats meat.
Yeah,
like, I mean, she didn't feel any way about it.
People who don't hunt, it is a weird thing to say that you're going to go hunting. It's like you're like one step closer to a primal person.
Yeah,
you're going primal.
Her shock was more so because she knows I'm a city rat. She knows me. She knows I order my food 90% of the time. Like, she's like, "You went hunting?" Like, yeah. But see, the funny thing is, it's like that is the experience. Like, a lot of this stuff I'm experiencing, the catalyst for it was a gun. Right? And so a lot of things I ended up doing I probably wouldn't have done but for me getting into firearms the way that I did. And so it allowed me to kind of branch out into so many aspects of life that I otherwise wouldn't have. And so
well, you have a big advantage, and you have extreme proficiency with a firearm.
True.
If you want to start hunting, that's a giant advantage over most people because you're obviously very good with guns.
Well, I will say this, like, I think the reason why I didn't get buck fever as I was on the gun is everything became more instinctive.
Right.
Like it just, for me, when I'm not thinking, I'm a better shooter. And so because of the sensorily, everything was so overwhelming, right? The smell, the sounds, the seeing the live animal in my optic, I think everything just went, and I'm already a scatterbrain. So anything that can force me to hyper-focus is ideal.
Yeah, I'm not. You're also very smart, and a smart person understands what's happening when nerves start taking over. If you're aware of how your body works, when you're not aware, and then you just let it overrun you,
then you're
go
like,
into full panic mode. Yeah, your body is, the human body and adrenaline. It's a weird little mixture of stuff because
very weird.
You would think that attrenaline's supposed to benefit you.
I think it can if you know how to use it.
Yeah, but
right?
it's a wild animal.
Because I've had panic attacks. I've suffered from panic attacks before.
When was the last time you had one?
Oh, it's years.
What do you get them over?
Sometimes some of the ones. Well, you know what? I say they came out of nowhere, but because of the way my mind works and some of the things that I think about that I just used to routinely, like that it can be caused. It could have been caused by that, but. I will say, like, for instance, like I had, like, one of my major panic attacks I had actually was smoking.
Weed?
Yeah.
Oh, but that's normal.
Yeah. No, I know. Well, now I know that. I didn't know that then.
Those are standard panic
attacks. I was
attacks.
like, yeah. And the funny thing is, everybody has the same response when I tell them that shit. They're like, oh, you were just smoking the wrong shit. And I was like.
It's not probably the right shit.
Yeah, no, see, shit I don't want.
Too much of it.
I fight the high. That's the problem. I'm a control freak in that way.
Of course.
Yeah. So for me, I don't like the feeling of being high. I get it. Yeah, I don't like it. So I think that's what caused me to kind of go, like, I'm overreacting. Like, I need to gain control of what's going on right now.
That's my favorite part of weed, the panic.
See, I remember you told me that.
I was
like, Joe's crazy.
I like that. I just like, wow. I know. I think it's because and when I first started getting high, it used to freak me out. And then I realized eventually that there's great benefit in those moments because any weird thing that I'm trying to avoid in my head, it gets brought up to the surface.
Yeah,
like you can't avoid anything. Pot it's like a bright light that gets shined on the things you're avoiding. So it keeps me honest. It keeps me in check.
You know what? I'm still not smoking, but yeah, I can definitely see. I can definitely agree with you on that.
It makes me nicer. It really does.
But I mean, for me, once I understood what was going on biologically, then I was able to kind of, to be honest, what would end up happening is, because I didn't get them frequently, but when they would come, they would be terrifying. And then at a certain point, I almost wanted them to come because the calm after the storm.
Right.
It was like, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about with weed too. There's a great feeling after you get too high.
Yeah, that is true. Because I mean, it's adrenaline. It comes back down no matter what.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. It's the weird spike of adrenaline when you're in a primal situation like hunting, I guess is supposed to be because you're in this sort of life or death situation and your body probably thinks you're going to go into battle.
Yeah.
But really, you're just staying calm and slowly squeezing off around.
So I didn't get the heightened sense of adrenaline until after the fact.
And then you're boom, 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 boom.
Exactly.
Then you're like,
because now I was brought back. I'm focused on it. Right.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I will say what did happen too was it made me for a short period of time kind of overanalyze my sense of my mortality. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because I'm like this buffalo woke up that morning and didn't know that Colion Noir was going to come and hunt him and shoot him.
Yeah.
So that, and I think to me that's just my overanalytical aspect of my brain.
Well, it's a wise perspective because there is something to that.
Yeah.
That's life and death of being a buffalo or a human being.
Yeah, because that's really what it did for me. I was like, what makes me so different?
What does make you so different? Yeah. Well, the only thing that makes us different is the fact that we have houses and cars and bullets and guns and the fact that, we're not out there getting eaten by fucking mountain lions
or getting attacked by homeboys when somebody else is trying to hunt us.
Yes.
Jesus.
There's a great documentary called Relentless Enemies, and it's all about lions and buffalo. And these lions in Africa, there's this one area where the river changed courses. It changed course and it stranded all these cats on this one island. and it stranded them with nothing to eat but water buffalo. So these cats got huge. It's a crazy documentary because the female lions in this one area are as big as male lions anywhere else. They're fucking enormous. And they look like cartoon lions. Like they're jacked. Like super jacked because all they're doing is eating water buffalo. And because the females are the ones that hunt.
Yeah.
So these females got way bigger and way stronger because those are the only ones that survive. And in this video, these female lions attack this water buffalo, and they get it down, and then they're trying to fight this water buffalo, and the other buffaloes come along, and then at this one moment where it looks like the buffalo's going to get away, another buffalo runs up and gores him and knocks him over, and then the lions get him. So right when it looks like this buffalo is going to survive, this other bitch-ass buffalo comes over and just jacks one of his homies, just jacks him from the side and knocks him over. That's just a part of their nature, man.
Yeah, it really is.
It's built in, and bullying like that is built in nature. Turning on the weak is built into nature.
They're visceral, man. Talk about Machiavellian.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's a horrible system. It's a horrible system that's designed to make sure that only the very strong survive. Yeah. That's it. Even though there's no morals or ethics in the buffalo community.
Nothing at all.
None.
Like,
Zero.
it just is what it is.
There's no us versus them.
No.
There is with elephants, though. Elephants like save other elephants.
You know, I think I saw that in like a couple of documentaries I watch again on my nights watching Netflix drunk. Yeah.
That's why people are like really attached to elephants. We get real attached to things that are a little smarter. You know, when you find out that like elephants, like when an elephant gets separated from its young or from a family member and they get reunited years later, they remember each other and they run up to each other and they wrap their nose or their trunk around each other and they rub each other. And
do you think it's the fact that they're that smart, or we just have a lowered expectation of them as animals? And
they're
so
smart.
When we see,
they can
that's what I'm
paint.
saying. No, that's what I'm getting at. Like, do you think, like, the reason why we're so fascinated, why we're so attached to elephants, is that we have a lowered expectation of their intelligence, and when they demonstrate something that seems remotely intelligent, we're, like, surprised, like, oh, my gosh.
Well, we just assume that anything that can't drive a car or send an email is an idiot. You know, we kind of know that dolphins are smart now, but it still doesn't stop SeaWorld from keeping them locked up in cages.
Dolphins are fucking assholes.
Are they?
What?
Assholes?
Dolphins are... They're the frat boys of the sea.
Well, there's definitely a lot of ruthless shit that goes on in the dolphin world.
Yeah, they rape other female dolphins.
They also they commit infanticide.
Yeah, that too.
On a regular basis. They kill.
And kill for fun.
Yeah, they kill baby dolphins. If a female has a baby dolphin, apparently the female won't breed for like 7 years. She'll just take care of those dolphins.
Gotcha.
So what females wind up doing is being sluts. They fuck as many male dolphins as they can so that when she has a baby, the male's like, oh, I fucked her. That might be my kid. So they don't kill the baby. Because otherwise, if a male comes up on a female that he hasn't had sex with and he sees her with babies, he'll just kill the baby so that he can fuck her.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's common in the bear world. That's common in a lot of animal worlds. They'll kill cubs in order to force the female into estrus. It's dark.
Again,
dude. Nature's dark.
Yeah.
It's evil. It's like it's the only way that things survive. Like, and to be strong, you can't have any compassion or empathy in nature.
And then you look at us.
Yeah.
And then I go,
we're getting weak.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's also
I'm worried about comments on Instagram.
Exactly. But that's what leads to innovation, though. Yeah. Innovation is created in a safety vacuum. Right, you have to have people where they're safe, and they don't have to worry about primal shit. And then they start thinking about, like, you know,
I think Aristotle spoke to something like this too.
Yeah,
you know, like having essentially the money gives you the time to be innovative.
Yeah,
you know,
not having to worry about starving to death.
Yeah.
Not having to worry about being killed gives you time to think about things, and that's how we improve.
Yeah.
But in improving society, we also make a lot of really soft people that reap the benefits of that without having any discipline. And those are the ones that comment on social media. That's the kind of people that you're getting. You're getting these people that think that their comments and their points are so important, and shutting down others and yelling at others it's so important. They're just soft people.
It boggles my mind.
Yeah.
It really does. I see certain comments. I'm like, you really wrote this?
Well, it might be like a 15-year-old kid, and I would have written that too when I was 15. I was a fucking moron.
I do forget sometimes that there are like really
lot.
young people on social media.
Bro, all these kids
Really
have
young.
phones. Every
Yeah.
kid has a phone now. I mean, they're so
yeah,
common.
because I can think to a time where I never had a phone.
Yes.
Like
yes.
I never had a phone.
Yeah.
It was just like
I didn't have a phone until I was in my 20s. You know?
I don't even know how I got around without GPS.
Right.
Like I'm like, how did I know where things were? And I think it's just my mind is just kind of chunked out all of.
When I used to do gigs back in the day, I would get a phone call. I would have to call like Mike Clark, who's a booking agent, and he would give me directions over the phone, and I would write them down, like 495 north to this to 101, and that's how you would get places.
Yeah.
I'd have a piece of paper. And then I'd be like, all right, 5 miles, here it is. Then take the exit, go 2 miles, and I'd have to look at my little thing. It says, go 2 miles. Okay, take it right here. There's the street. Like today, that nobody fucking does that anymore.
Dude, you have to do all that. My ass still gets mad at my navigation when it doesn't tell me exactly, specifically which exit to take.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Right,
I'm just like, I'm like, is it this one? Is it? And I still get lost.
Well, especially in Texas. Dude, the highway system out here is redonkulous.
Austin. In
the worst.
Austin, it's terrible.
Is it better in Dallas?
It's better in Dallas, but Austin, because Austin is that bad.
Why is it so bad here?
I've heard stories about why it's bad. I don't know
Trying to keep people from moving here?
No, no, revolving around the guy who designed them. Personally, I think the guy that designed the freeway system here in Austin literally took an Etch-a-Sketch, gave it to his son, told him to draw some shit, and that's what he used as his base plan.
Yeah.
Because the system here I think it's the freeways here are designed to kill you.
You know what it seems like to me? It seems like as if we had to still use Windows 95 and they just kept patching it, but it doesn't work for like modern graphics cards and modern motherboards. It's all fucked up. It seems like a highway system was invented when this was a really low population, and then they just started adding layers and roofs. And
but there was no really. It wasn't built with the understanding that this place was going to expand.
Especially not the way it's expanding now.
It's getting nuts, man.
I was reading something about some new highway system they're trying to tack on top of another one. Like there's on one of the roads they're going to put a second layer on top of it.
So it's going to be like 3 layers?
No, a second layer because it's a flat road.
Oh, so
they're
it's
going to
flat,
stack.
and then
they're going to put one above it because they have to do that in some places where they realize like, oh, there's too many cars.
Dallas is getting like that though too. Dallas is getting really, really, really congested as far as traffic. Traffic really wasn't a big deal in Dallas. Now, like. It's starting to feel like being in LA almost.
How many people live in Dallas now?
I don't know.
Take a guess. Let's guess.
I'm going to be way off.
What do you think?
Too many.
What's your number? What's your number?
I couldn't even give you a number. Let me see.
7 million?
I'd say now?
Yeah.
I'd say about 8 to 9.
8 to 9.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I was going to go higher. But I think I was going to say 10.
8 to 9.
But Jamie said like you were talking about like LA proper, the city was only 10 million, right?
Yeah, it depends on what you're defining as, because when you look it up, they'd use official definitions. Like I think sometimes when you're looking up Los Angeles population, Burbank isn't counted because it's a separate city, but it's within it.
It's all connected.
So it's like it's all the same
place.
place.
It's all the same place for sure. All right, I'm saying 7. 7 million.
This says the Dallas metro population area, which includes Fort Worth. So like the whole
the whole
is 6.3, but I see estimates of 7.5.
That's a lot.
Somewhere in there.
That's a lot. Is that the biggest city in Texas?
In Texas?
Yeah.
No, I think Houston is.
Houston's bigger?
Yeah. Houston's
What's
the
Houston
fourth
got?
in the country.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's Houston got?
It's probably closer to 9. Let's see.
Yeah, I would give that to Houston.
Houston has some pretty ridiculous traffic too.
Yeah, Houston's always had traffic
a little bit
like
more.
that.
Just a little bit more. It's just around 7 too.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So very close.
So close.
Houston just doesn't have enough freeways. That's the problem.
Well, they go underwater sometimes.
I mean, this is true, but they always come back up.
They do. We were talking before about when I used to work at the Laugh Factory or the Laugh Stop in River Oaks. The hotel we used to stay at, it doesn't exist anymore because it got flooded. The water went up to like the 2nd floor.
And because I'm born and raised in Houston. I mean, I live in Dallas now, but I mean, I pretty much grew up in Houston. We just get used to it.
Yeah.
It's crazy because, like, literally, I remember there were times where you'd wake up, the entire city will be underwater, and then by noon, it looked like nothing happened.
It just drains away?
It just...
Well, where's it go?
I don't know.
Does it go into the ground?
I lived there close to 30 years, and I never asked that question.
I think I read something about it after the last crazy flood, and they were describing how the hardscape, like all the streets and everything like that, it's not good for the drainage.
No, it does. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's the problem.
The reason why Houston floods is because the drainage system is terrible.
Right.
Right. Yeah, sure, we're below sea level, et cetera, but the draining system in Houston is just bad.
Yeah.
And so it can't. So with the amount, so if we get a lot of rain in a short period of time, it'll flood. The draining system will inevitably work, but you're gonna have to wait.
But they weren't just saying the draining system's bad. They were saying just the fact that there's so many roads and highways because the water doesn't go through in those areas. Gotcha. So the way that Houston used to be before people came was the water would rise up through the rain, but it would go into the ground and it wouldn't really flood.
Gotcha.
But because of all the highways and the roads and the streets and all the houses and all this hard stuff where the water can't get through, the water doesn't get into the ground until it does. And then, it stacks up for a while before it drains back down.
See, and the funny thing is, being in Dallas, I haven't experienced a flood since I've been in Dallas. But the one thing I had to readjust to was the cold and then the snow, ice. That's different.
Oh, yeah.
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 Even though it's only 4 hours away, at least the way normal people drive. But, yeah, I remember my first winter in Dallas, and I was like, what the hell is this? Because in Houston, we get the extremes of everything, but we never really get the extremes of, snow or ice.
Did they get snow this last storm, though?
Yeah, they did.
They did, right?
Yeah, that's why it was so crazy. Because Dallas, I could see, even though it was still crazy, I mean, I was out there driving around, because I've spun out on ice before, so I know how to drive.
Do you know how to drive in snow?
Now I do. I didn't. Like 4 years ago, I didn't. Yeah, because I learned the hard way. I literally spun out. Like I remember, I had to go to Oklahoma with a coworker, and we were driving, and so there was this ice storm. Oklahoma gets real winter.
Right, they get real winter. Yeah.
And so we were like, we can stay in a shitty hotel, or we can just drive back to Dallas. And I was like,
how far is that drive?
Like 3 hours.
Normally.
Took us 10. Because I'm like, I want to be back. I don't want to be in Oklahoma. Much love to Oklahoma, but I'm not fucking staying in Oklahoma. So I was like,
much love to Oklahoma, but fuck you.
So I was like, all right, let's just drive, right? So me and a coworker were driving back, and I remember the lady gave us this warning. She was just like, be careful, because they shut down some of the highways, so that means it's pretty bad. We're like, oh, we're fine. We'll take the back roads.
That's even dumber.
That's the worst thing you could do.
What kind of car are you driving?
I was in a 2007 Range Rover.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And that's another thing, a false sense of security. I didn't know shit. I was like, oh, we'll be fine. We're good.
Range Rovers are pretty good in snow.
Yeah, not with freaking street tires.
Ice. Yeah, with street tires.
But nothing saves you from ice, though.
Nothing.
Unless you have, chains on your bikes or something like that. So we took the back roads, like you pointed out, dumbest idea you can do, because they don't sand them or anything, or de-ice them or anything like that. So we skated from Oklahoma to Dallas. We skated because literally I would drive like maybe 9-10 miles an hour, and then I would, if there was a car ahead of me, I would have to gauge how long it would take me to slow down, because I'm going to slide to a stop. So literally. And at some point, you would think two smart individuals, and the guy, my coworker, he was even smarter, just exceptionally smart guy, would have thought, turn your ass around and go back to the hotel.
Yeah.
No.
Once
we're on our way. So we get to this back portion, and it's like there's a bit of an embankment. And I'm like, all right, cool. All I'll do is I'll just drive real slow and get across that. I didn't even think much of it. So I'm driving. I can feel the back kind of jiggle a little bit. I'm like, oh, okay, just slow down a little bit more. Back jiggles a little bit. I'm like, oh, that's not good. Back starts kind of doing this and then brakes. And so now we're doing a 360 on this embankment right into a ditch. In the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma.
Oh, boy.
So now I'm like, so we're literally sitting there, and we just kind of look at each other, and I'm like, we're back into the ditch. And I'm like, fuck. And luck would have it, there was a couple farmers comes driving on by in a tractor.
They pulled you out?
Yeah.
Really?
He goes up to the window and he's like, boy seemed to be in a little bit of trouble. And I was like, yeah, we kind of spun out. He's like, yeah, I've seen several of these today. And he's like, I'll get you out in about 5 minutes. And then he goes, it's a fancy little truck you got here. Isn't this thing 4-wheel drive? I was like, yeah, but I mean, shit, what the hell's that going to do against ice?
Well, not only that, it's 4-wheel drive, but it might not be all-time 4-wheel drive, right? You might have to turn that on. Did you turn it on?
The Range Rovers, I think Range Rovers are full-time.
Are they really?
Yeah,
Full-time 4-wheel drive?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I drove one in Utah a couple weeks ago. They're pretty fucking sweet, man.
Yeah, I don't like them now.
I liked it a lot, but I know they break.
Yeah, I'm a douche. I like G-Wagons.
G-Wagons are great.
Yeah.
They're great. Yeah. But Range Rovers are great, man. Like I said, I drove one in Utah.
They're great vehicles. They're just not my thing.
They break too much.
Yeah, but because they're really complicated, especially with the airbags, the air suspension, and all of that stuff. Because like those, at least I know what the model I had the OG model, but I don't know what the new ones are like now. I mean, those were literally set to fail. Like they're gonna go out. It's just not. It's not a matter of if. It's a matter of when. So you would have to replace those airbags.
It's not just that; it's the electronics, all the electronics. Like you can't really give them a pass that they're complicated because so is our Lexuses.
That wasn't a pass.
Lexuses are complicated too, and they never break, and they have all kinds of crazy shit in terms of like their off-road ability, like the LX 570.
This is true.
There's all sorts of shit you can do on those things, and they never break, man. I've had 3 of those.
Yeah, but they're pretty much.
It's a Toyota.
Toyota 4Runners. Essentially, that's what they are.
No, it's a Land Cruiser. It's like a super juiced up Land Cruiser. Yeah.
Land Cruiser. That's what I was looking for.
But still, it's like, why can't Range Rover do that? Because it's such a beautiful car.
Well, it's because the British make beautiful things. They don't make great functioning things. I will say that. Like, look at Aston Martin.
Yeah.
Beautiful cars. Beautiful. But like you said, they break.
They break.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about Ferraris. I don't trust my people.
You know what? I got to say this because Lamborghinis were like that too.
They're better now, though, right?
Because it's because of body.
Yeah, because they got bought by the Germans.
Yeah, this is true.
They took them away from the Guineas. They're like, give me that thing, man. You know what the fuck you're making?
Fix the shit.
What are you doing?
Here's the problem,
This is missing a bolt.
Here's the problem, though. I think some of the passion is being sucked out.
Oh no! So they're
think
making
about
them sterile.
Look at the. Now, this is probably an unfair comparison, largely because this vehicle was designed to be the Porsche Cayenne for
Lamborghini. 4-wheel drive Ursus thing.
Urus, yeah.
Urus.
So
that's how you say it.
I think so. I don't know. I say it 12 different ways because I hear different people say it. So I go. It's like I started off by saying Urus, and then I heard them say Urus, and who.
4-wheel drive.
Yeah,
basically. They're
SUV, right? And that's supposed to be their moneymaker. So that's why I think this might be a little unfair comparison, but essentially it's a Q8. It's a QRS8.
A dope-looking one.
Yeah. I mean, depending on who you ask. There are some people who can't stand the styling on it.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a little busy.
It is.
Yeah.
But I think they had to do that because they had to separate it from the fact that it is essentially a QRS8.
Is it?
Yes. They took a Q8, they put a body kit on it, and changed the interior, made the interior more drastic, and then gave it a shit ton of power, and then put a Lamborghini badge on it and said, here you go. Now, I understand why they did that because it's designed to be their moneymaker so that they can put money towards their hyper cars, their exotic cars.
Like Porsche did with the Cayenne.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was kind of an unfair comparison. However, when you look at, say, for instance, the Huracan, notwithstanding the Huracan Evo, which is now the rear-wheel drive, everybody loves that one. But as good as it is, it's exceptionally good. But I think there's some of the passion lost because it is too good, and I think there's something to be said about that.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
This is also coming from the guy who was talking about the inadequacies of a manual transmission. So, like I said, I'm a walking contradiction.
Yeah, the thing about those Lamborghinis, though, it's like you're sending a very clear douche vibe when you drive one.
How do you? I mean, yeah.
You know, especially if you have like a Murcielago or
this is true.
You got those doors that pop up.
Well,
sideways.
so the Huracan don't have the Lamborghini doors
they have
anymore.
regular doors.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
But the Murcielago does.
That,
right?
yeah.
What is the big Lamborghini? What's the number one?
Right now?
The top of the food chain Lamborghini.
It's the Aventador.
Aventador.
Yeah, that's their.
That thing is ridiculous.
Yeah.
That seems like a spaceship.
Now, it is, because it damn near looks like one.
Yeah, it really does. It looks like a stealth bomber or something.
But I prefer the Huracan.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think the Huracan's beautiful. I think the proportions on the Huracan are just dead on.
It's pretty sleek.
Yeah, I do.
But it's different than a Ferrari, right? Ferrari's like you've got money and you're a classy person who likes nice things.
Depending on who you talk to. Because some people just see any if you're in any of those badges,
right.
The Lamborghini, the Ferrari, what is the other one? There's another one I'm missing. I think just those two, generally speaking.
It's really just those two.
Oh, and maybe even McLaren.
Yeah, maybe McLaren.
You see those, you think automatically people think douchebag.
Yeah. Bugatti for sure.
But see, Bugatti is so high in tier, it's kind of like
the ultimate floss.
Yeah. Even though I'm not, they don't really do anything for me.
You're driving a really nice house.
Two houses.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then the funny thing is, you go down to the scale of Porsche, for instance, and no one even takes two looks at a Porsche.
Well, you can have a Porsche that's a daily driver though, like a 911, like a Carrera 4S.
Yeah, and
they look kind of like they're nice looking, but they blend in.
They blend in. They're
low key.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I think the Turbo is the ultimate version of that.
Yes.
Because I mean, you can literally destroy pretty much anything on the road. In a Turbo S, and then you could also take it and drive as far as you can take it on a road trip to freaking Las Vegas from Dallas if you wanted to.
That's really the ultimate daily driver supercar.
That's hence why I got the one that I got, because I knew. I mean, it's 4-wheel drive. Like I remember the last time I was in Austin and I drove it here. On a drive back, it was like a tsunami, and I was just sitting here.
4-wheel drive, yeah.
4-wheel drive. I'm driving the speed limit.
It's also all the electronic stability systems and everything is so well designed. Yeah,
because they've just continued to evolve over. They just evolved the platform and they perfected it each time.
It's also super reliable. There was a thing about the Porsche 911. I think if that's true, it was the most reliable car of 2020.
Oh, really?
I think it was the 911. Yeah, there was some article about Porsche 911 being the most reliable car, which makes sense if you think about the evolution of the vehicle. Where they continue to evolve.
Most dependable, maybe?
Most dependable. Highest ranked model for trouble-free ownership. That's amazing. Yeah. You think about a car that is a fucking ridiculously fast, incredible car. 911 is the highest ranked model for trouble-free ownership in the J.D. Power 2021 U.S. Vehicle Dependability Study. That's amazing.
And guess what? It has a lot of space.
It does.
That people, it deceptively does.
Well, the back seat's bullshit unless you have tiny kids.
Yeah, but in the thing,
throw your luggage
that's true. Yeah. If you have, it has a lot of space if you're a bachelor and you don't have kids and shit.
They really shouldn't like upholster it like it's a seat because you're lying.
I mean, I've seen people back there before. I'm dead serious. Grown-ups.
I get it, but it's terribly uncomfortable.
I mean, like,
it's weird.
Like even now, like I brought a lot of stuff when I drove in now, and I was able to flip. I can flip down the seat, and then I had my luggage, and then I had my duffel, my backpack, and then a bunch of other stuff that I had put in the frunk, and then it was good to go. The frunk,
That's true. Like you can definitely get some stuff behind you, whereas if you have a real sports car like a Lamborghini, there's nothing behind you. It's a mid-engine.
It's uselessness.
Or even the Corvette. The new Corvette there's nothing back there.
There really isn't.
There's no room, and even the trunk's a joke. It's like this big. You got room for a bag of groceries. Plop.
Which is weird, though, because the Corvette is actually a damn good daily driver car.
Yeah.
But from a functionality standpoint, in terms of living, from a space perspective, not so much.
It's going to be weird to see where cars go, because I think they're all going to go electric.
They are.
I think we've got maybe a decade or so.
Which is why I think the new GT3 is such a big deal.
Yeah.
Because that car is the antithesis of everything with respect to where the cars are going to be going.
Naturally aspirated, 500 horsepower.
I mean, it screams
manual transmission.
Screams up to 9,000 RPM. I mean,
it's so fast too, and it handles so well. It cut the Nürburgring time down by. I
did it in 7 minutes.
Yeah, 7 minutes.
Under 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Under 7. Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, that's so fast. What's the world record on the Nürburgring with a production car?
Is it?
I wonder what it is.
I don't know.
Because I think they said the 911 GT3 is as fast as the 918 supercar.
Yeah, it did it faster than the 918.
That's nuts. Yeah. That's nuts.
And it did it 17 seconds faster than the previous GT3.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And then did it a couple seconds faster than the GT3 RS of current.
That is so crazy. The only thing so fast.
The only thing that beat it within the Porsche lineup is the GT2 RS.
That thing is a widowmaker.
That thing is just.
Yeah, my buddy Brendan Schaub has one of those. It's a ridiculous car. Here, the 2021 Mercedes-AMG GT Black Series broke the Nürburgring production car record. Let me see what that looks like. That's pretty fucking dope.
So I drove one of those on a track once. Not that one in particular.
Look at that thing. You don't like it?
No, I do.
That thing's beautiful. My God, look at that thing.
I think it
look
looks
at the vented fenders, the front fenders.
I think it looks like a penis, though.
I like dicks. I like my own. I like big red ones. What did I say? That looks fucking great, man. You think that looks like a dick? I don't know what your dick looks like, but maybe you should go to a doctor.
You got the balls in the back, and then you got the...
That thing looks great, man.
I think it's a good-looking car. I really do.
It looks fucking amazing.
I mean, it's basically a muscle car.
Hit the fucking gas on that. Woo! Come on, man. That thing's fucking beautiful. That's beautiful.
I'd still take a Porsche over it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I wouldn't hate it.
No, I mean, we're splitting hairs at this point.
Look at the wing on that motherfucker. That wing is ridiculous.
What was the time they said it did Nürburgring on? Didn't say.
That's just the fastest.
I'm generally not into red cars, but that's fucking gorgeous.
Would you call that red or like a orange fire red or something like that?
That's a good question. I don't like that green. I've seen that green version of it a few times. Scroll back up, Jamie, to the top photo. I guess that's red. Is that red?
That kind of gives me orange.
You don't think that's red?
Orange vibe.
Orange of some kind.
Yeah, it's like flame orange.
Whatever it is, it's dope.
Infrared, maybe.
Infrared. Yeah. Ooh. That's a fucking beautiful car, man. I love that thing. I like the flared fenders too. It's wider than the standard. So what does it say what the
it didn't say a time anywhere.
Man. That's a sleek piece of engineering. But it's weird because I would assume that a mid-engine car would be better at handling the Nürburgring.
I think it's incredible considering. Oh, damn.
643. That's so crazy. Straight from the box. Oh my God. Wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
I mean, it's a good-looking car. I'll give you
$389,000. Woo! Someone's balling.
Yeah, I won't be seeing that in my lifetime.
You never know. YouTube monetizes you again. Do they fuck with you? Do they pull your shit down?
Man, they'll it's like in cycles. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Like sometimes they'll leave me alone, and then other times it's just like bad.
I was wondering what was going to happen during the pandemic because all these liberals started buying up guns. A lot of my liberal friends were buying guns and asking me about guns and this and because.
Yeah, reality has a weird way of doing that.
Oh man, when you saw the lines, when there was lines to the gun stores, I was like, this is fascinating.
I mean, what it was a literal example, real world example of what I've been saying for the last 10, 15 years.
True.
About, look, at the end of the day, the only person responsible for your safety is you.
Right.
Can't depend on the government. They won't be there. Not because they don't want to be. They can't.
Especially when things go sideways.
Yeah.
When civilization goes sideways, and we, relatively speaking, got lucky with the pandemic because it was a fairly mild virus in comparison to if something killed 30% of the population.
We got like Spanish flu version.
We got Mad Max.
Yeah.
Then it's madness.
Yeah.
And then, fuck. Then it could get real scary.
Very much so.
It was scary already, man. It was scary seeing all these fucking people lining up at the gun store. Because I'm like, first of all, these people don't have any. I would like to raise of hands. How many of you guys have ever shot a gun? How many of you guys know how to shoot a gun? How many of you know about just basic gun safety?
Yeah. None.
They just want to be protected.
I think that is the biggest problem we have with respect to the conversation on a national level. Because if you think about it, we have over 400 million guns in this country. Why don't we have a bigger initiative to inform people, even people who don't own guns, about guns? It's part of our life.
I think because they think it'll encourage people to buy guns, and
we're already doing it.
They don't want to encourage people to buy guns,
which is true, which is very true. But it also speaks to how disingenuous the whole gun control thing is. And I keep saying it, like gun control is disingenuous because if the goal is about saving lives, you would do the things that would actually save lives. Instead, what you do is you grandstand and you do things that really honestly are designed to further restrict the right to take those guns away from people. And a lot of people think that's very conspiratorial. But I've been following this long enough to know what the end goal is, because if you follow it, the logical deduction of gun control, the only answer is to take all the guns. That's it.
Yeah, well, there's too many of them now. It's an insurmountable problem, and I think it's a problem that if they really do try to say we're going to take your guns, the blowback would be fucking crazy. Like just the blowback to people saying we're going to do a vaccine passport. People started freaking out,
as they should.
And then the Biden administration was like, no, we're not doing that. We have no plans for a vaccine passport. But there was a lot of irresponsible people that were saying this is what we need, a vaccine passport.
And you see, that is exactly why there's a lot of pessimistic thinking especially in the gun community, where like I put out videos and they're like, you're just preaching to the choir, and I'm not.
You're not.
I'm not.
Because there's a lot of people that I know that are not even gun owners that will send me your video and say, hey, your friend made a great point about this.
Yeah.
And they'll go, I'm thinking about it now in a different way because of these videos. You're not preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
You're making a lot of logical points. And because of the fact that you're a lawyer, you understand all the sort of mechanisms of the way legislation gets passed and the way this could be a real problem down the line.
Yeah, very much so. But the thing about it too is it's I think a lot of people don't understand the actual power we have as people in this country in comparison with respect to the relationship we have with the government. It's supposed to be a working relationship. It's not supposed to be one of dominance. And I think too many people just kind of throw their hands up and accept it. It's like, it's the government. I mean, what are you going to do, right?
Right?
So we have to plead to them to give us things or do things that we know. That's not necessarily the case, like you pointed out with the passports. You create enough issue with it, with enough people, they'll understand, shit, we can't do this. And so I think that is the one thing that I try to implore a lot of people that watch my videos is like, no, you have the power to protect the rights that you deem to be important rights.
But you have to do it before they get changed.
Exactly.
Because once they get changed, we're fucked. Because a lot of people don't remember, but during the Obama administration, there were some calls by that administration to regulate the internet. They were talking about regulating the internet, and people freaked the fuck out. People are like, what, the government is going to step in and tell people what they can and can't put online? And then they backed off of it.
Yeah, but they're okay with the government telling you what gun you can own to protect your life.
See, they're only okay if it's not real, right? In their world, it's not applicable. They're not being attacked. No one's breaking into their home. They don't live in a neighborhood where they have to defend themselves all the time. So they think it's not a factor until it is a factor. And when it becomes a factor, it's too late.
Yeah.
You know, and what I'm worried about with all this talk about gun control is, first of all, I don't think people really understand that there are folks out there who have saved their loved ones' lives and saved their lives because they had a gun. All you hear about is some crazy fuck goes and shoots up a church or some crazy fuck goes and shoots up a school, and we got to take the guns away.
You know what's crazy? You know why you hear about that so much? Because it's rare. With considering the number of people we have in this country and the amount of guns we have in this country, it's a rarity to see those things. And so they get talked about the way they get talked about because they're like, holy crap, that happened.
Yeah.
But what doesn't get seen, too, is like you pointed out, like CDC did a study. I mean, it's a broad spectrum, but on the low end, we're talking about 500 to 600,000 people every year use a gun to defend themselves. And that was a number cited by an anti-gun organization.
What is the number?
About 500 to 600,000 people.
Every year to defend themselves.
Every year to defend themselves. On the high end, it's like 2 million.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. So this is someone breaking into your house, trying to steal your car, that kind of shit.
A lot of it, too, goes unreported. So, for instance, like if somebody tries to rob me and I pull out my gun to defend myself and they take off, I'm not necessarily going to call the cops.
Yeah.
Right? But a lot of people don't hear about those things because where are you going to hear about it except for platforms like mine?
Right.
And then I'm struggling every day because I'm getting shadow banned or, some videos getting demonetized or taken down. So it's hard for me to get that information out there.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. One of the things, like, did anything shift when people started buying guns? When there was this moment where, what was the number of gun sales went up? Something crazy.
Shit, it was crazy.
Like 40-something percent.
I think it was higher than that.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, let's find it. Let's guess. I'm thinking it's like 40%. Jamie, what do you think? What's your guess? What's the percentage?
Yeah, that sounds right. I have a different question, but
okay, go ahead.
First.
Go ahead.
I'm looking that up because I see the statistic of 500,000 to 3 million. But would the Center for Disease Control be doing that?
Really?
Because they want to make it a healthcare issue. Because you hear them say it all the time. They say this is a public health issue. It's easier to sell gun control when you deem it a public. It's no different than what think COVID and the vaccine.
Why wouldn't it be the ATF though?
Because it's easier to sell it as a public health issue.
I know, but firearms is literally in their title.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you say it the way Biden says it, you switch firearms and tobacco.
AFT. but you got to.
Yeah,
they're very good. The one thing I will say about them, and when I say them, I mean the gun control lobby, which generally speaking, and I got a lot of people who follow me who are more liberal, they hate when I bring up the Democrats. They hate it because they think I'm just trying to push this one-sided narrative with respect to the Republicans. No,
right.
It is what it is. If you look at all the gun control legislation, you look at anybody who's pushing gun control, the vast majority of them, I'm talking 99% of the time, they are Democrats.
Why do you think that is?
Because Democratic ideology is based around bigger government, right? And so you can't necessarily exact your control over a group of people if they have something as self-reliant as a firearm.
Do you really think that's what it is?
I do think that to a degree that is it.
I
Yes.
think it's that the ideology behind being a left-wing person is you want less violence, and I think maybe you're more reluctant to actually take into account real human nature and the real potential breakdown of society that would cause you to need a gun. I think they're more idealistic, more utopian, and perhaps more delusional.
I think the people who vote Democrat believe that. I think the people in power have a different agenda. I think from their, and honestly, they are the proverbial hammer. So when your fundamental ideologies are based around bigger government, you think the solution for everything is more government.
Right.
So if a shooting happens, right, and come on, do we really think government is the most efficient entity at solving problems in our country? No. People complain about the government all the time. But when you are the government and you get something like a shooting and people are like, we need to do something about it. Okay, more government. Let's throw these laws out here. Like, restrict that, take that. So they take on a more parent role as opposed to an entity designed to find true solutions to fix a problem. So they say, okay, well, if this small number of people are killing people with guns, take the guns away. It's just an oversimplified approach to any problem that comes up, because they're not really about getting to the true issue of the problem. They just want to either look like they're doing something about it, and so they'll just take the easiest approach, or they'll try to scapegoat it on something, because at the end of the day, they realize that their ineptitude with respect to leadership is going to be put on full blast. More specifically, our inner cities.
Right.
Right? So if the vast majority, I mean close to 80% of gun homicides in this country are coming from our inner cities, and we have 400 million guns in this country.
Is it really 80%?
Damn near, yes. It's high. It's high. I'm talking gun homicides,
right?
Not like gun deaths,
right?
Because it's driven by gang and drug violence. That's
with gun deaths, then you start including suicide.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And so if you understand that, that means that we're having a high concentrated level of violence in very specific areas in this country, right? And as a result of that, you look at that and you say, okay, well, we have we have an area of concentrated violence in specific areas, but yet we have guns all across the country that don't have this violence. So clearly there's something else going on here other than the fact that there are guns. And then predominantly, these inner cities are led by Democrats. It just is what it is. It's not me playing politics. And they have heavy
gun control, which
exactly.
is crazier.
So it stands to reason you're not doing something in these places that you should be doing in order to deal with this violence.
Yeah.
And in my research and in my study, when I was reading this book, it's called I think it's like Don't Shoot or something like that. I can't remember the exact title of it. So I was reading this book, and it was talking about this program called Ceasefire. There is a program currently now that's called Ceasefire, but I don't think it's the same program. Or it's a former shell of itself. But, this guy, this criminologist, he set out, and I think it was done in Boston, and they were dealing with a lot of violence in their inner cities. And so what they did is they put together a program. It was a very holistic approach to the violence. And essentially the cops came together along with the community leaders and so forth and so on, and they knew who the perpetrators were of this violence. You got to think about it. Do we really honestly believe that the vast majority of these kids in the inner city are killers? No, it takes a very specific type of person to be a killer. So a lot of the killings that are taking place in these places are done by a very hyper-focused group of kids in these areas. And the vast majority of the time, the police know who these kids are. The police know who the perpetrators of this violence are. And so what they did is they came together. They said, all right, here's what we're going to do. And they brought the leaders of the gangs and the kids who were out on the street, so forth and so on, came together and like, look, we're not going to say we're not going to arrest you for the drug dealing. Because, I mean, whatever happens with respect to that. But if the bodies continue, we're going to make life incredibly hard for you on these streets. Really hard. And as time went on, the violence stopped. The number went down. Because at the end of the day, you got to think about it. A lot of these kids are carrying guns not because they want to go and kill someone. They're carrying guns because they're scared. They've grown up in an environment that has forced them to engage in the lifestyle that they're in, generally speaking. So if I'm a kid, and even if I don't want to partake in this particular lifestyle, if that's the only thing that surrounds me, and I know that at any given point my life could be threatened, I'm going to carry a gun too. Or even if I'm a kid that's like, look, I want to make some extra money. I'm not justifying drug dealing. I'm not justifying the selling of drugs. But if I'm a kid who just says, you know what, I want to sell money because I grew up, the only form of success that I've seen were the drug dealers in my area, so I'm going to sell drugs. Of course he's going to carry a firearm. He's selling drugs. There are going to be other people who are going to try to take his product, so forth and so on. Doesn't necessarily mean he's a killer, right? So when you focus entirely on the firearm and only on the firearm, it doesn't do anything to actually deal with the issue that's good, the underlying issue that's happening in these places. It's a socioeconomic issue. When you grow up in poverty, I'm sorry, there's going to be a predisposition with respect to your area. You're going to have more violence there because what is the natural economy there? Drugs.
That's one of the weirder aspects of gun violence is the reluctance to address the violence in inner cities while focusing on the violence of the rare mass shooter. Because the inner city, like if you look at the south side of Chicago, it's a regular basis. Yeah. It's almost every weekend there's a bunch of homicides.
I think the reason why is because, like you actually touched on it, how do you avoid inner city violence?
You're going to have to fix the crime.
No, I mean just you. How do you avoid being
stay out of the inner city?
Exactly.
Yeah.
However, when people feel like some random yo-yo can walk into a store and just start shooting people, it terrifies them, which is understandable. Yeah. It's totally understandable. But none of these laws that they're proposing do anything to stop this. They won't.
No.
So it begs the question, is the goal really to try to save lives? Or are they leveraging these shootings to get a specific agenda that they have passed?
You know, there's another thing. There's a reluctance to ever accept the fact that in certain situations, like in Boulder, Colorado, when that guy walked in the supermarket and started shooting people, if there was a person there that was trained with a firearm that knew what was going on and knew how to use it, they could have taken that guy out.
Absolutely.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
If there was like if someone was a Navy SEAL and they just happened to be in that place and they were carrying, that would have been over.
I mean, I don't even think the person needs to be a Navy SEAL.
But if it was, like, I mean, that's an example of someone who's highly trained and knows exactly how to use a gun. But if you have someone who's well trained and has a gun in that situation, people don't want to admit that is a factor, that someone can save lives. Yeah. It's happened before. There's been mass shooters. There was one, that guy in a church, right?
Literally.
Yeah.
And you know what? This made me so mad. After that shooting happened, I mean, we saw it on video.
Yeah.
On video. The guy walked in, shot two people, guy in the church got his gun out, shot him dead before he can kill anyone else.
Yeah.
Bloomberg gets up, gets a press conference, and literally says, I don't think the regular person should be walking around with a firearm.
Meanwhile, Bloomberg has armed guards, that motherfucker.
Exactly.
He's a billionaire. You don't think that guy's got trained killers?
And guess who is one of the biggest drivers financially for the gun control lobby in this country?
That guy.
Bloomberg.
Why?
I don't know. He's made it his life mission to basically push gun control. That's his thing.
But what do you think motivates someone like that?
I think if you look at Bloomberg, considering who he is, I think a lot of it is there is a control power factor with respect to he just doesn't like. Think about it. If I'm a billionaire to the degree that Bloomberg is, right?
Right.
I'm sitting here on Mount Olympus, right? The only thing that brings me back down here to regular people is the fact that you mean any of these regular people can be walking around with a firearm and decide that they want to kill me, they just can. It's a level of humility I don't think he wants to deal with, because that's what makes everyone equal. Because and he doesn't. I don't think he likes that. I really don't. And so in his mind, he's like, the more I can get the guns out of the hands of the people, the higher on how Mount Olympus I get to sit without worrying. And I think this is the case for a lot of people who are considered the elite. They don't like that idea. They don't like the fact that the common man can have any gun he wants. It bothers them.
I wonder if that's true. I wonder what it is. I think there's a thing in like liberal orthodoxy, and liberal orthodoxy is we need gun control. And if you argue against that and go, well, you know what? Sometimes guns save lives. So people just they blow a circuit. They can't handle it because it's a narrative they don't like to accept.
Well, I think because it's a lot easier to see yourself as a victim of gun violence than it is to see you as a protector of your life.
Right.
You know, it's a heavy thing to kind of accept.
Yeah.
You know, because it's so much more satisfying to think that if something happens, I can pick up the phone, call the cops, and somebody else will come deal with it.
But didn't everybody learn from this pandemic that, especially after the George Floyd protest, that cops they're not that effective.
Yeah, we have short memories, man.
Yeah, but that's so short. I mean, it's happened like over the last few months. When people realize, like, when shit gets crazy and they start burning cop cars, like, cops aren't going to come when you call them. And that's all it would take. All it would take is, like, one well-armed group of people to attack a police department, and they're done. That's it.
Done.
Yeah.
But our memories are short. And you know, and these politicians play on those memories. Like, even if you take into account the laws they try to pass, because people get on me all the time. They call me a fearmonger because I tell them, no, their ultimate goal is to take guns. Yes, there are 400 million of them, but their ultimate goal is to take guns. That's essentially what it is. And the way I can prove it, and they literally leverage our short memory.
I think part of it, too, is that's how you get elected, by saying that you're going to do something about guns. Because those people that are a part of this sort of liberal orthodoxy, this liberal ideology, they think that's a problem. You need to get rid of guns. We got gun violence. You need to get rid of those guns. So this guy says he's going to get rid of those guns. That's what I want to hear. Yeah. And then this guy's saying, we need the Second Amendment to stay strong. And he's going to get more guns. Yeah. There was a cartoon that was released recently that someone put together that was showing guns that are legal versus guns that are illegal, and how confusing it is. Because what was Biden trying to push? There's something about stocks, about stabilizers for
stabilizing
pistols.
brace, stabilizing pistol brace.
Yeah, but then there's other ones that have a brace that are legal.
So essentially, I could actually show you right now if you really wanted to.
Yeah, show me.
All right. So I have. So
there's a video. I'm gonna see if I can find this video too. What do you got there? You got guns on you? Jesus Christ, how dare you bring a gun into this place. How dare you, sir. I'm going to find this. I think it's on, I don't know if it's that one. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. Jamie, go to, here, I'll send you this. I'll send you this. This is, because this is very bizarre. This, it's on this, this Instagram page that I follow. Okay, I just sent it to you. It's this video from _typical_liberal on Instagram, but it's a cartoon. This is a goddamn gun in this on television. You're gonna get us pulled off of. Oh, you can't. We're on Spotify. Ha ha. So this is the brace that Joe Biden wants to regulate as a. That would make this. Bring it out here so we could. Okay. Everyone can see what's going on here.
So
that is technically a pistol.
This is a pistol.
That does not look like a pistol. That looks like something Chuck Norris would have.
So the reason why this is considered a pistol is because there isn't a stock. This is not a stock.
Oh.
This is a brace. So what this, and I know the guy. I'm good friends with the guy who actually invented this. So what the brace was designed to do is he had a friend who was a veteran who was injured, and so it's hard to shoot a pistol of this size with one hand.
Right.
So what this is designed to do is you take this here, this opens up, you wrap it around your arm, and it allows you to stabilize the gun.
Oh, okay. So it's like a Velcro deal.
So the thing about it is what the people have a problem with. It's sure, could I use this and put it on my shoulder to shoot? Yes, I can. That's not what it was designed for, though. So you can't go just reclassify this because people are using this in a way that it wasn't supposed to be, that wasn't intended to be used for in the first place.
So it's just that it makes it more accurate? Is that what it is?
It just stabilizes it so you can shoot it more accurately, especially if I'm somebody who's injured and I can only shoot with one hand.
Yeah, but I mean, like, what's next? We're gonna get rid of red dots?
I mean, that's where we're going.
We're gonna go to only open sights because iron sights are less accurate.
But I mean, isn't that the whole point of a firearm is to be as proficient as possible at stopping the thing that's attacking you? But again, it boils down to the idea that you never see yourself as a defender; you see yourself as the victim.
Right.
And so you want to do everything in your power to make the person who you feel is going to attack you with these things less able to do that.
Right.
But not realizing that. By doing that, all it does is it takes away the guns from the people who are good and need to have them to defend themselves against the people who are bad, who are going to break the laws anyway to get the very thing that you thought you were going to keep them from getting.
Yeah, but there's also like gun culture that people don't like, the celebration of shooting things and blowing things up. People get angry at that because they feel like it's glorifying it, and they feel like you're going to get those guns and put them in the hands of shitty, toxic male people, and they're going to want to shoot people.
400 million guns in this country. If we were a problem, you would know it.
Yeah, but
it's really that simple. There's
so many guns, right? That's what's crazy.
And the thing about
guns than people.
And yet and still, we don't lead the world in gun deaths.
Who does?
That's a good question. I think because we came in we were right. I think we're like at 12, number 12 or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, we're not.
I thought we were number one.
No, we're not.
We need to work harder, boys. We're number one.
No, but even still, again, 65% of those are suicides.
Right.
But then and so I can hear people say all the time, they'll say, well, those suicides are more efficiently done because of guns. So I was like, so what's the solution? Ban guns.
Make it harder?
No,
to kill yourself?
I mean, by banning guns.
Yeah.
Like I said at the beginning of this, the only logical conclusion is to ban guns.
What's up?
United States is low if you're going per capita, but that you take the top 10 and you add them all up, and it's not as many as it happened in the United States.
So we're number one.
Number 2 behind Brazil.
In terms of the actual total number?
Total deaths, yeah.
Total deaths. Now, what's the population of Brazil?
Look at that. Brazil's got a lot of people. Wow. We're number one, number 2 by 14,000.
But per 100,000, we're number 20,
which I think is a more accurate assessment if you take into account the number. What's the population of people in Brazil?
So per capita, we're number 20. Brazil has a lot of people. Go back to the actual numbers again. What are we at there?
2 on that. This is of 2016.
So there's
2016.
6,000-ish. Yeah, so 6,000-ish more in Brazil per year than the United States, which is that's surprising. But deaths per 100,000, they have 19. We have 10. That's a big jump. It's almost double.
I mean, there's way more people in India, and they have way less.
Yeah, way more people, right? They have like 1 billion people.
Yeah.
And then Mexico is surprisingly low.
Way down there.
Look at Mexico. That's really low. I'm kind of shocked by that. They have less than half what we have. Huh. Interesting. Deaths per 100,000.
Well, hold on. Are you talking about population?
No, the amount of deaths they have total.
Yeah,
from guns.
But what's the population of Mexico?
Well, it says deaths per 100,000. They have 11.8 deaths. We have 10.6. So wouldn't that make them more than us? There's a total deaths
in terms of per capita.
Yeah, per capita. They're
but
higher.
as far as total numbers,
bro, look at Venezuela, 38.
Oh yeah,
deaths per 100,000. They have a lot more. Holy shit, man!
They're number 1. Or El Salvador.
El Salvador's 39.
But it's only 2,500 people died. I'm just comparatively.
Right. Still,
that's why it's a little
super dangerous.
13 in Greenland.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Greenland has a population of 2 people.
Yeah, they just killed each other and they jumped up to number 1. Yeah, it's wow. Puerto Rico's that high on the list. Go back up to that. I'm gonna have to call John Donaher
separately. It's part of America.
Because it's not.
Same with the Virgin Islands.
It is. It is not America. It's like neither is Hawaii. You know, I mean, Hawaii is America, but let's be honest, we stole that shit. You know, not we, but somebody did. It's 5 hours by plane in the middle of the ocean. How the fuck is that America?
That is true.
And
it's kind of like all the cities in Houston.
Yeah. This place, I mean, this chart is kind of surprising. Like seeing those, the death numbers. That is surprising. But so number one, all total deaths, though, is Brazil. So we're number 2 for all total deaths. But Brazil, I don't believe, has the same population as America. What is Brazil's total population? I want to say 100 million, rather. That's my guess.
211.
211, and we have 300 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brazil's dangerous as fuck, though, in some areas, like the favelas. You ever see City of God?
Yes.
Woo!
Yeah.
What a crazy movie that is.
In an eerily way, very beautiful at the same time.
Yeah. Well, it's a brilliant movie.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant movie.
Very much so.
Yeah, Brazil's got a strange situation.
I mean, I think recently I think the new president just kind of loosened the grip on the gun laws in Brazil. But generally speaking, the gun laws in Brazil are very, very strict.
It is interesting that places with the highest gun laws in America are the places with the most amount of gun violence. That's so strange.
Well, I think because by and large the attempted solution for the violence, because those places also have the highest concentrations of inner cities,
right?
And so their solution for those things was always gun control. And in response to it, it's always more gun control. And if that doesn't work, add more gun control. If that doesn't work, sprinkle a little bit more gun control. And if that doesn't work, let's put just a little bit more gun control. This time I promise this gun control will work. And then it keeps happening, gun control. Gun control, gun control, gun control. That's the point that I'm making. The answer was always going to be gun control.
So how did this last mass shooting that led to this call for getting rid of these stocks, these it's a brace,
stabilizing brace, yeah.
Well, why did that did that play a factor in that gun violence?
No,
it wasn't part of it at all.
He had it on the gun.
Oh, he did.
He did, but that didn't make him any more lethal.
It's just a random fact that he had that.
Like, well, no, you can make it seem lethal because they did the same thing with bump stocks.
You know what's fucked up? I don't even remember what the story was of this latest mass shooting.
But here's the thing
was it because of Colorado? Was it Boulder?
What do you mean?
The one that where Biden started calling for more gun control? Was it Boulder?
I think he used it as a catalyst. I think he's already had these prepped.
Yeah.
Because some of the things he was proposing have nothing to do with the shooting.
What was
from that standpoint, it's like he kind of used, like, they don't ever let a tragedy go to waste.
Of course.
That's their MO. So from that perspective, it begs the question.
What is this here, Jamie? Biden said last month, following a mass shooting in Colorado, I don't need to wait another minute, let alone an hour, to take common sense steps that will save lives in the future. He read that.
Yeah, but his
Somebody
question.
wrote that.
His question: How long was he in? How long has he been in office?
4 months.
4 months. And how many executive actions or orders has he taken? Did he take initially when he first got into office?
I don't know.
He took quite. He did quite a few. None of them were these.
What were they?
Just a bunch of other executive orders that I didn't really pay attention to, honestly.
You just only pay attention to guns?
No, I just was aware of them. Do you know what's funny about that?
What?
I purposely try to avoid paying attention to guns.
Really?
To a degree. Because I've been doing it for so long and I do it so much.
It's overwhelming.
I got to step away sometimes because sometimes I think I get too close to it. And so in order to kind of back away and make sure I keep my perspective and focus, I'll step away from it. The problem is with respect to the gun stuff too, that also means politics. Because it always comes back around.
Right.
And so so honestly, within the last year, I've kind of stepped away further from politics and following the gun issue is close. Well, I got pulled back in once Biden got elected. But by and large, I try to minimize it just so that I can kind of recharge because it's heavy. It's really heavy. And then with social media, it's a constant bombardment with respect to everyone's yelling at each other. Right. Everyone's yelling at each other. And then if you are someone who tries to make an attempt to be objective, yes, I have certain bias, but if I still try to remain objective, that takes a lot of work, especially when you have one side saying one thing, you have the other side saying one thing. So I'll hear a side that I agree with say one thing, and then I'll hear someone else on the other side, and I have to literally grab myself by the neck and say, I know you want to believe this, but this makes sense. And so and it could be anything down to like a particular issue, a specific issue that's happened, or a complete policy. And so that can get a little tiring because you're constantly playing this balancing act. Like, okay, am I being too biased? Can I come back close to the center here? Like, what's going on here? Whereas if I was completely dogmatic in one direction, it would be I would argue it's a little easier. Now somebody can make the argument, well, then that's what you are with guns, right?
Yeah.
And to a degree, yes, only because every time I try to look at it objectively, I come back to the same answer. I don't try to make myself come back to the same answer. It's just the logic that's involved. It's like you can't tell me, like, for instance, let's take universal background checks, right? People are like, oh, universal background checks, you should be fine with universal background checks. I'm like, in theory, but in reality, what is a universal background check? It's a law that says I can't have a gun and give it to you. Who's going to stop me from doing that? If they came out with a law right now and said, I can't sell you this gun right now that I have here, if I wanted to sell that to you, and they said it's legal for me to do that, who's going to stop me from doing that?
Well, Texas has an interesting perspective on that, right? You just have to write a bill of sale.
You don't have to write a bill of sale.
You just give it to me, right?
As long as I know that you're not, as long as you're not a prohibited possessor,
right?
I can, and you're a resident of Texas,
right?
I can sell you a gun.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
and
I don't think so.
We don't have to go through an FFL or anything.
No.
Yeah. Well, no, you don't think so because you're pro-gun.
Well, here's the thing. Well, I can give you the reason why I don't think that's a problem. Okay. So the reason why, one, I'm not in the business of selling firearms. So this is my private property. This is something I bought. This is my personal property.
Right.
I can do with it as I please. If I want to sell it to you, I can sell it to you. The idea of a universal background check is to regulate that transaction, is to say, well, no, you have to go get a background check to do this. Now, the question then becomes, what's the big deal with that? Well, one of the issues is it doesn't actually do anything. Because if they made the law now and said that you have to get a background check from before I could sell you the gun, and I just sold you the gun anyway, how would they know?
Yeah, how would they know?
They wouldn't know.
Well, they would hope that you would obey the law.
Okay.
So they would hope that they would avoid at least some guns getting in the hands of some bad people.
The problem is, one, there's no track record that the vast majority of criminals are getting their firearms because of legal transactions where they didn't get a background check conducted. However, we do have studies that show that the vast majority of criminals get their guns from the black market, or they steal them, or they get them by way of straw purchases, which are illegal.
Right.
So from that
perspective, setting off your own.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's yours anyway. Yeah.
Speaking
of which, now you can keep all your guns in.
I can't keep all my guns.
Well, not all of them, but whenever you travel or you're at home and
this is dope. Yeah. And it's your own little
so it's a new version. I gave you the one last time.
Yes.
So this is people wanted a bigger version of the case.
It says hashtag the pew pew life. Pew pew.
You know what's funny about that thing?
What?
So I made it. I didn't make it, but the company who I collaborated with on it, it's more or less designed for travel. To travel with your firearms. And so when I take it to the airport, I get so many questions about it from people. They're like, wow, what is this? And they're like, the pew pew, like, what does that mean? And I'm like, oh, here we go.
Well, people don't like you making light, right? You're making light of guns by going the pew pew life. Well, it's kind of
for people who come across it without knowing the genesis of the pew pew life.
Right.
So what it is that it's homage to our days when we were kids.
Right.
Playing guns, playing pew pew.
But that's what I'm saying. Right? People don't like you making light of pew pew pew.
Now we're adults.
Right.
And so now we have real guns to use to protect ourselves.
Right.
But then also it also doubles as an acronym for the people.
Oh.
Yeah, the PPL. Yeah. So the right of the people to keep and bear arms.
I guess so, but it's spelled wrong.
What do you mean?
P-E-W? P-E-W? Pew pew.
P-P-L.
Oh, okay. I get it. Okay, I get it. Maybe. It's pew pew. You're talking about guns, man.
Oh, here for your ears too.
Oh,
so when you go shooting,
those
are my favorite over the ears.
Your favorite?
Yeah, they do a really good job with over the electronic ears. For sometimes what you'll run into an issue is when the wind's blowing. Mm-hmm. It makes it really hard to hear even if you have the electronics on. Mm-hmm. Those do a great job of mitigating that.
Why do really my fucking Instagram keeps trying to sell me these in-ear buds that protect you from with guns? They're in-ear noise suppression guns or earbuds.
So
they can't be as good, right?
Yeah, they can.
Really? Yeah. The ones that stick in your ear?
Yeah, but I use double.
Oh.
I double up because whenever I'm shooting a rifle, I use in ear and over the ears with those.
Something big like a
or just a rifle in general. And the reason why is because when you not even necessarily that, just an AR. Because sometimes when you shoulder a rifle, the recoil can lift.
Oh, I see. So you have a backup.
Yeah. So now those, if you look they have a little indentation, which allows you to clear the stock, which will prevent that. But in the event that it happens to happen without me, because you won't even realize it's happening most of the time.
And then you can get ear damage.
You could. It's possible.
Right.
But then also I have tinnitus. So
you do?
Yeah. So I go above and beyond to protect my hearing with respect to shooting.
Did you get tinnitus from shooting?
No. I got tinnitus from all my clubbing days.
Oh, no. Really? From loud music?
Dude, I would come back and my ears would ring for 3 days straight.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, and then they'd be like,
so these battery powered?
Yeah, they're battery powered. Yeah, I don't think there's a battery in them yet, though. There should be a battery in that box.
Okay.
But yeah, those are my favorites. And then of course I brought you an essential guns are essential hat. If
you walk around with this on, people will know that you're one of those.
You know, I get a lot of people who message me. It's a great. So the basis behind my brand is to serve as a kind of conversation starter. So the never really, besides maybe, this is probably about as extreme as we get. I will not comply. Or we did just come out with it, come and take it. But by and large, the vast majority of it is designed to pique curiosity. So like when I tell you I go to the airport with this and they go, what's the pew pew life? It's a good catalyst to kind of have the conversation in a manner that doesn't start off as, oh, you're pro-gun and I'm anti-gun. You know what I mean?
Did you start this pew-pew life thing? Is this all your invention? Because I see pew-pew or pew-pew
so
life.
What I did was I basically took, I mean, everybody was saying pew. I didn't do pew-pew.
Right.
But to create a lifestyle around it and brand it, that was me.
Now, we were talking before about whether or not during the pandemic when people started buying guns, if they relaxed any of the censorship that's on your channels or any of that. Did any of that happen? Or was it basically, it's been...
Everybody I know that is in the gun space is shadow banned.
Shadow banned?
Pretty much, yeah.
For sure?
Yeah, I'm almost positive.
But, now, how does that work? So as if someone doesn't follow you, if they try to find you, they can't find you?
So...
Jamie, do you follow him?
On YouTube?
No, on Instagram.
Yeah.
Let's see if it happens now, because sometimes I run into an issue. If I type my name up on Instagram, I have to type my entire name out before it'll pull up. And then some people says it pulls right up, which would lead me to suspect that I'm shadow banned.
When I tried to find you, I found you easy. It pulled it up right away. And that happens when a lot of people are complaining about being shadow banned.
Here's the crazy thing.
Yeah, he didn't come up when I typed in his first name.
Yeah, and neither on my own goddamn phone.
Very specific.
So mine came up right away.
See, your mine, you still can't see mine at all.
So do you think they do it with some?
That's what shadow banning is.
You have to type the whole thing out for it to come up.
For it to come up on Instagram. You have to literally type my entire name out.
But that's weird because with me, all I got is the COL and it showed up right away.
You follow him,
and keep in mind, if I type...
I follow him.
No. My own page, it won't pull up.
That's crazy.
Like, look, I have Colion right now. Nothing. My car page will pull up. But my gun page that has almost 1 million followers won't.
Oh, okay, you got one of them privacy shields in your phone.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Oh, it's being sneaky. Good move. Very smart. So
it could be something to that, though. But it could be a couple of things also.
Well, you know what, man? The more you read about stuff and the more you see videos, like a lot of those Project Veritas videos where you see people getting busted that are, when they do these secret undercover videos. They catch people talking about. Look, man, you can nod your head all day, but like that one in the CNN is pretty goddamn damning. When that guy who's what was he, a chief technical?
I don't know.
Whatever. But see, the weird thing is like I posted that video in my group chat and I was like thoughts, and they're like, yeah, but that's not surprising.
It's not surprising, but it's amazing to see it so blatant.
I thought it was too.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing.
But apparently I was just being Colion.
But what is news now? Is news propaganda, or is it just news?
Is that surprising, the CNN information? At least this story, this one in particular. He's done other ones that are a little more surprising.
It is surprising how blatant that guy's describing it.
Describing the way they went about it.
If you went to someone from Fox News and took him on a Tinder date and he's trying to look good in front of a girl and he's trying to say all the stuff they do, wouldn't he say?
Is that what it was?
Was
it
a Tinder date? It was. There was like hidden cameras on a Tinder date.
Oh,
it tricked him to go on Tinder dates with chicks.
LOL.
That's why I'm like, wouldn't someone from Fox News or MSNBC say the similar stuff?
Could you imagine? You work for CNN, you're on a date with a girl, and you're trying to impress her by telling her that you literally manipulate the news and you create propaganda.
Well, if she's a girl who is along the lines of that ideology, they'd be all for it.
And she's got some.
You know how many?
It depends on the situation on how he gave this information to.
I've ruined a lot of interactions with girls by stating my ideologies.
I'm sure.
They knew they were.
Yeah.
Like, what? You believe what? Yeah. You're allowing what? You think it's okay to have what?
I enjoy it.
How many guns?
Yeah.
How many guns?
You don't even know how many you have, right? You're one of those guys?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I say that's just what I read happened. I didn't, I wasn't part of it.
That makes sense because he's kind of, he's kind of talking real open about it.
In all fairness, my mind goes, okay, back when Obama was in office, how if you got somebody from Fox and the same thing happened, would I be that surprised if they said something to the same degree?
See, the thing about Fox, though, is Fox is preaching to the choir. There's a lot of fence riders that watch CNN because they thought they were getting unbiased information, and they're not.
Which is why I stopped watching CNN.
It's changed. Yeah. It's changed. It used to be just the news, I think. Or maybe it's my perception's changed.
The funny thing is, I'm like, oh, why is everybody not surprised by this? But then at the same time, I'll say this. They've gotten so blatant with their bias that it's like it's unwatchable. Yeah. So before I would literally I would watch CNN, I would watch Fox, and then I would avoid MSNBC like the plague because I felt that they were so biased and so blatant about it. It was like just unwatchable. Now CNN has crossed that line. Yeah. And they've become that. So it's kind of like I can't even now because really what you have to do these days is watch both sides and then come to your conclusion. Right. It's hard to do that now because the other side has gone so far. Like, what do I watch to get a more liberal perspective on my information that's not going to be so blatantly biased to the point of almost concocting scenarios and lying?
It's like you see the people that they have who are their spokespeople, the people that are on television, and you watch them talk and you're like, Jesus Christ, you guys are like the weird liberal agents of propaganda. They're not really news reporters. There's not like a Walter Cronkite in the bunch. They're all these.
The former CIA director being like the talking head isn't a great look for CNN.
I know, it's crazy, right? Yeah. Isn't that weird?
I mean, look at your homie Biden, who he just tried to.
He's not my homie. How dare you? How dare you?
The guy he wants to nominate to be the fucking director of the AFT.
Yeah.
He's literally part of a gun control lobby. Yeah. And he wants him to be the director of the AFT, aka ATF. Yeah. So it begs the question. Like, I hate when people tell me Biden's not anti-gun. Are you fucking serious?
Well, he's also a knucklehead. Like, his perspective on guns is so bizarre that you don't need an AR-15. You need a double-barrel shotgun. When someone's coming near your house, just shoot one in the air.
Yeah, more people get killed more people get killed by shotguns than they do with AR-15.
Well, it's also a dumb piece of advice. Like, you just get yourself a double-barrel shotgun.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Do they?
I believe so.
Well, I mean, it's
put it like this.
It's either
close or it's less. But I do know more people get killed by hands and feet. I know more people get stabbed to death. Yeah. So, I mean, it begs the question.
That's crazy that more people get killed by hands and feet. Yeah. Like, who's lethal kung fu experts out there?
By almost half.
That is nuts. What are the numbers? How many people get killed by hands and feet in the United States? Take a guess, Jamie, before you say it. Take a guess. What do you think? How many people get killed by hands and feet?
Like 4,000 by hands and 10,000 by feet.
Nah, it's lower than that.
More by feet? No.
I'm just kidding.
Way more by hands. It's hard to kill somebody with your feet.
I think it's about 1,000.
1,000? Yeah. By hands and feet.
I think either if I remember correctly, it might be 1,000 some odd for stabbing, and then I can't remember. What was the number? I just know it was more.
More than stabbing.
This is just the U.S., right? Not world, correct?
Okay, I'm going to say
This doesn't look-
1,300 people get beaten to death per year. That's my guess. I'm just going out. I have no information. I'm just taking a wild one here.
I'm trying to find it.
What do you think, Jamie? What did you guess, though?
It's tough. I'm not trying to like 5,000.
Nah.
Whoa.
Just throw a number out.
Nah, not even close.
I don't think it's that high.
Yeah, it's a couple a day.
Well, see, I feel like the big problem is people bouncing their heads off the ground. That's when people die. That's a lot of when people get knocked out and they fall and they hit their head and die.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah, that's the big one. And they would count that as hands and feet. But
Now more people die from falling downstairs.
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm sure that's the case.
I did a video about that regarding Joe Biden.
Really?
You know, when he fell down the stairs.
Oh my
When
God! He fell up the
stairs. Yeah,
3 times.
Yeah.
But what's weird is this reluctance to admit that he's cognitively declining, and that it's weird to have someone who's that old and frail and fragile mentally and cognitively as a president of the United States.
Why would that be surprising to you? Isn't somebody like that? Wouldn't you be able to control somebody more like that?
Yeah, but that's not what's surprising. What's surprising is the reluctance that people have, who are left-wing people, to admit that it's true.
It's not reluctance.
I've had people.
It's hatred of the past president.
Maybe it's a little bit of that,
That's
but
what
it's
it
also
is.
a biasy. It's a delusional perspective. There's a delusional aspect to the way they communicate.
I
about
think
it.
if there was somebody else and not Trump, the lack of hatred would have allowed them to then acknowledge the mental deficiencies of Biden.
Maybe. Well, the control thing makes sense that they went with Biden versus like someone like Tulsi Gabbard, who they couldn't control, who is also left-wing liberal, but also a veteran, also a congresswoman.
I finally found a 2019 weapons used in murders in the United States.
Put it up on the board.
660, but it says other weapons or personal weapons.
Handguns.
Hands, fists, and feet.
Hands,
600.
fists, and
600,
feet.
So it was like, it was about 1,000.
I like how they call it
About
personal
1,400.
weapons, because that's kneeing as well. You can knee someone to death. 600 people every year get killed by hands, feet, and fists. I like how they hands. Who's getting bitch slapped to death? I like how they is it?
So
hands?
yeah, so I was wrong about the shotguns. I figured as much, but it was close.
Maybe.
So the if you look at the rifles, we're at 364. Actually,
Wow.
I could be right, and here's why. That includes every type of rifle, not just AR-15s.
Wait a minute though. Hold on a second. Narcotics only killed 93 people a year. Is that like
said murder.
murder?
These are
Yeah,
murders.
murder.
These are homicides. Or
Only
murder
92
victims,
people get asphyxiated? Blunt objects. Hammers kill 397 people.
It
Jesus.
probably also goes in only half the murders every year are,
Right.
solved. So maybe double this. I don't know.
Wow. 6,000 by handguns. That's a lot.
And it also says firearms they don't know which kind
Type
of firearm
not stated.
here, so it could be these could go up. And
Yeah. Who knows, right? That's a lot that are not stated, 3,281. But that's a crazy number of people getting killed just by people beating them to death. 600 every year. That's low.
Other weapons like sticks,
Sticks.
golf clubs.
Golf clubs, yeah.
Doesn't say.
Strangulation, 64. Oh, I was going to put that in the hands and feet.
That's different.
That's
than
what I was going to say about
asphyxiation, right?
hands. Strangulation.
A couple more.
I wonder if it's like strangulation with solid technique.
Other guns.
What if they know what they're doing? Drowning. Wait a minute. Go back down to drowning. 7 a year. That's a dark way to kill
Is
somebody.
there
Hold
another
them
kind of gun
underwater.
besides a firearm?
Other guns?
That is
Muskets?
freaking weird.
Yeah, what is other guns?
what is other
What is
guns?
other guns? Crossbow? Is that another gun? Too many people watch Walking Dead?
Spear gun? It's not a firearm, correct?
No. I think a firearm has to have fire
Okay, so
involved.
maybe there.
But even other guns. I always say a crossbow is just a shitty
flare
gun.
gun.
Like people say, "Oh, I'm into archery. I'm a bowman." Like that was in the movie. That got me angry when I was watching Walking Dead. Oh, you're a bowman, bitch! You ain't a bowman.
That used to piss me
That's
off.
a shitty gun.
You're running around the zombie apocalypse with a fucking bow.
Yeah, not only that,
No,
crossbow.
that's what I'm talking
is
about. Yeah.
hard to
Crossbow,
reload.
yeah.
Like when you reload a crossbow, you got to put it on the ground. You put your feet on it. There's a thing at the bottom of a crossbow, especially a high-powered crossbow. Yeah. You put your feet in this thing, and then you pull on this motherfucker because it's like 100 pounds of pressure. And then you lock it in place. And then you put the bolt. It takes forever. It takes so long. If zombies are coming at you,
That's what I was saying. I did a whole video on it.
not only that, how come it just goes through your head and it stops? Like, why are you getting pass-throughs? These people's heads are like melons. They're all rotten. And they're all,
This is true.
160-pound draw on his bow.
Whose bow?
The bow he's got in the show.
Really?
He found a sweet new striker crossbow in season 3, and it's got 380 FPS and 160 pounds.
Let me see. Let me see what that looks like.
Well, that's not a great picture of it.
Oh, he got a new one? Meanwhile, who's fletching his fucking arrows, and why does he have field tips on? This is what drives me crazy. He's got field tips. He doesn't even have a fucking broadhead on that piece of shit. This is nonsense. One more reason why I got rid of that show. Fuck off.
Yeah, I haven't watched that show.
That show's murder porn. You just watching people beat each other to death with baseball bats. Like, where are the zombies?
I have a Negan bat.
You do? With the barbed wire and shit? Why?
Huh? It's cool.
How many do you have? Do you know how many of those you have at least?
One. Somebody made a custom one for me with my logo on it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I was like, I mean, I was a Walking Dead fan, so, you know.
I was a Walking Dead fan for season 1, and then season 2 is pretty good too. But somewhere along the line, it just became murder porn. When Negan came along,
it did get. Well, I mean, I think they had to keep upping the ante because I mean they had so many seasons.
This thing would just put a hole in you like a pencil. It wouldn't even kill you. This is so stupid.
Well, I think that's why it's specific for zombies.
Yeah, you just gotta shoot him in the head.
Yeah.
But you don't. Why?
That's the rule.
This rule sucks.
Silver bullets for
werewolves
and fucking garlic and crosses for.
I know, but I mean, he points it at
vampires.
people too. If you pointed that thing at me, I'd let you shoot me in the hand and I'd fucking kill you. Because it'd take you so long to reload that, and I'll kill you with my other hand. Fuck you with that stupid bow.
Oh man,
It's just so.
I hate it.
It's so dumb.
I hate it.
Daryl's crossbow is a secret name. It's called piece of shit. Your fucking field tips. Why don't you have broadheads?
Every time I would see him with the crossbow, I would just shout, "We don't believe you."
But I'm telling you, those are a nightmare to reload.
Yeah.
You have to be strong as fuck too.
I did a whole video on crossbows.
Oh, did
and
you
why
really?
it's such a stupid fucking thing to have during a zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
Like-
What do you think is a good thing to have besides a gun?
Besides a gun,
The lady with the samurai sword. That's the shit.
Yes,
Yeah,
something
'cause you just
edge
gotta
weapon.
cut their heads off.
Just give me. But see, I need something to give me more leverage. So I'm thinking like a machete.
Yeah, but
Something
you
I
know
can
what?
hack.
No, you want a samurai sword. She's right. Because first of all, samurai sword, you can two-hand it. That's what you want. You want something you two-hand because you could use technique.
You really
and it
think-
won't wear you out as much.
Okay.
And two, you want something that's going to really slice through shit. A machete,
Yeah,
I
how
mean, you're
you
not going
gonna-
to
you
cut
got-
off people's heads with a machete.
Yeah, but are you gonna be able to keep the edge on a fucking samurai sword?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the steel is insane.
Okay.
I mean, it's like
Fair
such a well-crafted steel.
Because I'm thinking
Sorry, Hanzo, if you got one of those, you're set.
or
100 people
I
in
go an
5
axe.
An axe. No.
I've been on some Viking shit lately, so you gotta.
That's a dope show. That's a dope show. My wife stopped watching with me because it got too violent. She's like, I can't do this anymore.
It was violent from the moment the show
I know,
started.
but after a while, it wears on you. You know?
It does.
I enjoyed that show.
I loved it, man.
Yeah, that's
I
a good
absolutely
show.
Loved it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a complicated show too. There's a lot of shit going on.
No, and I think it was beautiful.
Fluky
I think
and-
it was beautifully handled.
Yeah.
I really do.
And probably kind of similar to what it was really like back then.
Yeah, I can imagine.
They're
I do.
rough-ass people.
I don't understand everybody's fascination with fucking Athelstan. I don't get it. Everyone loves him, and I'm not. I'm like, dude, pick a religion. Pick one. I've never seen someone bounce back and forth like a yo-yo. Like you're either gonna believe in pagan gods or you're gonna believe in Jesus. Pick one.
Right.
And he just bounces back and forth, and then we're supposed to develop some sense of what for him,
That
and
didn't
everybody
bother
loves
me.
him.
I always felt like that's just a plot.
No,
tool.
it was. I'm being a little.
get it.
Yeah, but I still don't understand why everybody loved him so much. What was it? What is he, like a pet dog? Because what did he really do? He didn't do anything except fuck over his own people, and then fuck over the Vikings, and then fuck over his own people again.
Spoiler alert.
It's okay.
I'm fascinated by. I mean, I would love to go back in time and see what it must have been like to live back then, when people really did. They were pretty lawless, and the people that did have law, they were ruthless dictators, and they controlled their people in a horrible way.
Sounds familiar.
Oh, yeah. That's the other thing, right? Like history repeats itself over
Very
and over
much
and over
so.
again. It just repeats itself in
What
patterns.
I think a lot of people think, we've progressed so far that we can't ever find ourselves back in a situation like that. And I think that's completely wrong.
Yeah,
it is, because like you said, like history is circular. Like you can and you can progress yourself into fucking tyranny.
Yeah, but people don't want to believe that though, right? Like the thing about things like Nazi Germany, for example, is that it was less than 100 years ago. It's so hard to imagine. And we would like to say, well, we are so far past a leader like Stalin or Mao or Hitler. But no, we're still people. And today on Earth in 2021, you still have Kim Jong-un running North Korea. And he's a ruthless fucking dictator.
Here's the funny thing about that. They'll look at that and make a distinction in the fact that, well, no, we're America. We have things like our Constitution, so forth and so on. Yet, when we talk about protecting the very elements of the fucking Constitution, they say it's outdated.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, exactly. how do you rationally keep those two thoughts in your head at the same time?
And it's always the first two amendments, you know?
Yeah.
It's 1 and 2.
Because they're the most powerful.
Yeah.
And people understand that. And so they'll do everything in their power to undermine it and usurp it.
It's also those are the ones that come up the most and the ones that are the most discussed and debated.
Yeah.
You know, when you get down to like women's rights to vote, that doesn't get debated.
Yeah.
But all the amendments that, you know, when First Amendment and Second Amendment, those are the ones that are always in the news.
Yeah. But I mean, I think there's inherently going to be people who, I think there are a lot of people who want to put their safety in the hands of someone else.
Yeah, for sure.
They do.
For sure.
And then I think there are a lot of people who are like, nah, I got it. And then I think there are a lot of people who just look at it from a realistic perspective. Yeah, sure, it'd be nice to have somebody who could actually protect me all the time. But I understand that sometimes in reality, that's not the case. So therefore, I'm going to get what I need to get in order to protect myself in the moments that they can't.
Well, if you watch the situation like what happened in Minnesota with that kid where the cop thought she had a taser in her hand, it turns out she had a pistol and shot him, I'm not putting my safety in that lady's hands.
No, I wouldn't either.
There's not a fucking chance in hell. And that's the problem with a lot of police departments or a lot of police officers. You are not getting, again, I hate to use the example, but it's a great example. You're not getting Navy SEALs.
No.
Okay, you're getting people that are willing to take this job, and they probably don't know how to handle pressure, and they're not getting paid a lot of money, and they're putting themselves in extreme danger, and they're terrified, and they panic.
I said that in my group chat. I said, and my group chat is consistent of, you know, left, right, you know, it's pretty evenly spread. I was just like, you'll be surprised of the dumb shit you'll do when put under pressure.
Oh yeah,
like
panic.
You'll be completely surprised. Now,
panic's a motherfucker.
Now, it doesn't justify it considering this is your job, right? Doesn't make it acceptable.
No,
but I can, because there were some people who were saying, it's like, I can't see how anybody can make that mistake. I can. I've taken courses where I was put under artificial pressure and I've made dumb decisions.
You mean like tactical courses? Yeah.
And so I can only imagine in a situation like that.
Dude, people make terrible decisions playing pool for money, right? That's like I used to play in a lot of tournaments, and I used to do a little bit of gambling, nothing serious, but I've seen a lot of people gamble that were good pool players, and you know, a couple $100, and you can't make a ball, you're missing easy shots. It's just because of pressure. Now imagine there's a kid and he's got warrants and you're telling him to stop and he's not stopping, and you think you've got a taser in your hand, you got a gun, and you see the video, and she's like, "Ah, fuck, I shot him." Like,
and the thing about it, what a lot of people don't realize too is, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the first time she ever drew her gun.
That's a good point.
Because there are a lot of people there. I know, like, people don't realize there are a lot of cops who go their entire career and never pull their gun.
And they don't have a lot of practice either.
No, they don't.
It's not like they have to go to the range and prove proficiency over and over again. I don't know who put this on their Instagram. It might have been Snoop, but it was a real good point. And it was that, it might have been DL Hughley, but it was a real good point. It was like, people are saying that this lady who is a cop, like we need to look at this and cut her some slack because she was acting under pressure. But yet they want citizens to remain calm when they're being pulled over by a cop with a gun in their face. That's a very good point.
I think that's a ridiculous notion.
Yeah.
I think she should be held. I think she should be held to a higher standard, if you ask me, because that's something that you volunteered yourself to be in this position.
But I think people they think they can do it, and someone tells you can do it. Do you want to be a cop? Okay.
Well, but that speaks to maybe we need to really reevaluate the level of training that we're providing, and even then, even then, you can train all day long.
Until the real shit happens.
When it happens, it happens. Like, you don't know what you're going to do. Like, in the gun community, they say when the pressure's put on, you're going to resort to the lowest level of your training. That's what they say.
Same thing with fighting. It's the same exact thing. It has to be instinctive.
Exactly.
You can't think in the middle of a crazy battle.
You can't.
No.
It really does have to be instinctive.
Yeah.
And so, like, the idea of training is to, especially with shooting, is to make as much of what you do instinctive without even having to think about it. So it almost leaves room for you to process other information.
Yes.
So you're not thinking about fine motor skill stuff. Because, like, you know, the whole notion of her, the weight of the gun versus the weight of under an adrenaline dump.
You don't know what the fuck's going on.
Weight is weight.
Yeah.
Weight is weight. Now, what that means in the grand scheme of things, I don't know. But
that's why we were talking earlier when I was saying I like a heavy rifle. If I was hunting, I like a heavy rifle because under adrenaline, it feels light as fuck and everything is crazy. It's the same thing with bows. A lot of people with bows, they prefer to weigh their bow down. They have like a heavy back bar, heavy stabilizing bar. They like a heavy aluminum riser because when you're nervous, that bow feels like it weighs nothing.
Yeah.
Adrenaline's crazy, man.
Nuts, man. Because there's no regulating how much of it. It's just here you go.
And then you're drowning in it. Your hands are shaking.
It's nuts.
Have you ever seen someone that has been in a street fight and then afterwards their whole body's like shaking and convulsing?
And there's a video of it. And I did what they do, sim training, where you use fake gun rounds, but they hurt like hell. Right,
like rubber bullets?
Simunitions. Essentially, you can call them rubber bullets to a degree. But you shoot them out of what looks like a real gun. They're actually real guns. They're just modified to shoot these rounds. And so they put me through a series of scenarios that I had to deal with. So, like, I'm in bed laying down and there's a gun on here, and then the guys break into my room and I have to deal with the threat, and then a bunch of different scenarios like that. And so maybe this speaks to me, but the same thing happened then when it happened when I went on the hunt. I was super calm. Like, when it happened, it was just like boom, 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 bang. Soon as I was done, the adrenal dump, and I was just like this.
Shaking.
After the fact.
Yeah.
Because it's largely, too, because there was so basically what happened is they escalated it. They kind of ramped it up each time. Until it was full bore, 5 guys kicking in the door, coming into my room and tagging me. These things hurt.
Oh, Jesus.
They hurt. So literally, I was in a corner, balled up in a ball like this while they were shooting me. Because
did you get welts all over your body afterwards?
Yeah, if you get hit, yeah. Yeah, and so that adrenaline dump is real. It's real. It's truly real.
Yeah, adrenaline is a strange thing, and most people don't experience it in terms of like a life and death situation, but once or maybe twice in their life, if ever.
And I think there's something to be said too, because we talked about this in a group chat with respect to even the guy in the car who tried to leave, Dante, I believe Dante, right?
The young man that got killed.
Yeah,
I think that was his name. Is that his name?
I think so.
Yeah, so there's something to be said about the adrenaline dump there too.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So it's like
he thinks he's going to jail.
Yeah.
And what was he? He had a warrant for something ridiculous.
He had a warrant
too.
for attempted aggravated robbery.
Is that what it was? Oh, I thought it was something.
Yeah,
something.
There was a number of things flying around about what it was. I think some people were saying it was. I forgot what it was.
Some people were saying it was weed.
No, it wasn't weed. That's what he told.
But
that's what he told his mom. But that's not what it was. It was for aggravated robbery.
That's the problem with one of these stories. Yeah. The word gets out in so many different versions of the truth. It's hard to.
Yeah. I mean, there's something to be said about the irrelevance of it.
Yeah.
But because I take these situations and I kind of break them down to the moment, and I look at it and I say, all right, in this moment, what happens here? And I think with the larger discourse, like revolving around this particular shooting, I think people forget 2 things can be true at once.
Yeah, but it's just, to me, it's insane that people who become police officers aren't very highly trained. They aren't tested on a regular basis, and they aren't paid very well, and you don't select the best of the best.
We wouldn't have enough cops.
Well, we would have more cops if we paid more money, and then it would probably be more effective.
So where's that money going?
I know, where is it going?
Because I can tell you what they're going to say now. We're going to raise the taxes.
Yeah.
You mean you don't have enough money with the money you're already taking from me?
It's all so crazy.
Yeah.
It's all so crazy. And then, when you look at what California's doing, California just allows people to steal things now.
Yeah, I know.
You can get a steal up to $900. so people are just stealing $800 worth of shit all day long, and you don't even get arrested. It's nuts.
It's insane.
It's so crazy because, dude, someone sent me a video. You want to see the most bizarre video I've ever seen of Venice Beach? I'm gonna send you this.
I probably saw it. The cut thing together, like the fighting on the boardwalk.
Do you have
the
that?
Street People Los Angeles page, I think, had it. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to see it because it's
just a bunch of crazy people over and over again, right?
I know, but it's the number of people that are out there with tents now. That's so nuts. It keeps escalating, keeps getting higher and higher and higher.
I mean, what did they expect to happen? I mean, I did several documentaries in Seattle and in San Francisco. I was freaking blown away, dude.
This fight video?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Go full screen on this because it's so crazy. Go full screen and back it up to the beginning.
Are you sure that's not Austin Cesar Chavez?
Nah. No, that ain't shit. Look at this. The numbers. These guys are just crazy homeless people duking it out and hitting each other and stuff. And look at that poor guy jogging. But at nighttime, you've got these Mad Max style shanty towns and people are getting in street fights. But there's so many tents, man, on the beach. Right there where people used to go and used to be tourists, and now it's just crazy homeless people and people doing drugs and people fighting in the streets.
Yeah, but you, I mean, the policies in these places.
Did that guy just shoot that guy?
No, it's like mace or something.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or bear spray. Who knows?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, yeah, it is bear spray. Yeah, he bear sprayed him. Oh, he just sprayed him again. That guy's a dick. Look at these homeless people beating each other up and shit. But, I mean, and look at that guy walking by, just all casual with his Starbucks. Oh, my God, you fuck. Like, where's the humanity? You could just watch somebody beat the shit out of somebody else while you're strolling by, and the dog's getting involved.
Would you have jumped into that?
Look at the dog's biting people.
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, I'm talking shit. I wouldn't have done anything. You're right. Look at this lady dragging this other person.
Jesus.
Pulled his pants off. This is madness. But this is what Venice Beach has become. Venice Beach has become this horrific place that I don't see a way out of this. I don't understand how they're going to turn that around. And the only way you stop that in the beginning is to have law and order. You have to have a healthy respect for law and order.
Well, they're trying to do away with that, though, aren't they?
But Los Angeles is trying to do away with it more than any place I've ever seen. That crazy new district attorney that they hired that wants to get rid of the gang unit. I don't want to be the guy who puts on the tinfoil hat. But you hear about all these people that are George Soros funded, and you're like, what is that guy up to?
That's a good question. I personally, I've said this before. I said this on national television. I think in a lot of ways they leverage the violence to push the gun control agenda and to push further dependence on the government.
You think they let this happen? They want this to happen?
I don't think they let it happen. I know they do.
So you think that there's a solution that they should have used to try to end the homelessness situation?
I think when you purposely put policies in place that enable that, then I think there's something
by
to be
letting
said
people
about it.
camp.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. This stuff wasn't happening before, so why is it happening? Unless you're enabling a certain behavior.
Well, one thing is because the economy collapsed during COVID, and a massive amount of people were out of work.
It was like that. I was doing documentaries in places like San Francisco. Shit was happening then too.
San Francisco was, yeah, that's true.
And
San Francisco was pretty bad, but it's way worse now.
It is worse now, but I will say there's something to be said about, like, I mean, it just.
Do you bring it all to gun control? Is that your thing?
No. I wasn't going to do. I use gun control as an analogy for a lot of things because I've studied it so much.
Right.
So my mindset goes, and then, so a lot of it just runs parallel to each other as well. Because if you think about it, although those people essentially are dependent on the government, if we really want to think about it, because they're allowing it to happen, and if anything, they have to depend on the government to allow them to continue to do those things. Mm-hmm. Those people still vote. Right. They can. So allowing them to do that further incentivizes them to do what they need to do. So now from that perspective, with respect from political paradigm, you have this issue where, at least when I was in San Francisco, there's a whole economy around homelessness where people are getting fucking rich.
In what way?
So I was doing a series of interviews in San Francisco, and what ends up happening is you get all of this money designated for helping homeless people, helping people on the street, so forth and so on. But then none of that money finds its way to the people. Where is the money going? And so, and the guy I was talking to, he's like, people are basically lining up their pockets with that money because there's no accountability for what the money's doing.
Right.
And so when you keep, and so within these places, since you are in a position, for instance, it's like, who's not going to allot money to create housing for people who don't have houses? I mean, is that something that you would have a problem with?
Well, most people would say, well, it would be nice if they had houses. Yeah. So let's allot money to house them.
Earmark money off to do that, and then fund it and give it to these programs that are designed to do that.
And you feel good about yourself.
Exactly. And then they'll do the bare minimum they need to do, and then the rest of that money goes where?
Goes where? That's a good question.
So that's
do you
what I mean.
know the situation in New York City with the missing money for mental health?
No.
That the mayor's wife was involved with?
No.
Go to John Joseph Cromag's Instagram page. He's got a story about it. It's pretty nuts. There's a shit ton of money missing that they can't account for, that the mayor's wife was involved in some sort of a mental health program. I mean, they gave this program. We'll find out how much money, but it's a staggering amount of money. And so there's a investigation. Whereas $850 million gone.
Dang.
Bill de Blasio's wife can't account for a staggering amount of taxpayer money that the New York mayor gave her for a mental health project. That's a spectacular amount of money that's missing.
Oh, wow.
Now, how does that work? Like, what do? They wait till he's out of office and then they prosecute? Do they? I mean, how does that work? Wow.
I was just looking up. Los Angeles had about $430 million budget last year for homelessness, up from $429 million the year before.
Where is the money?
Where's that money going? So do you think that there's an industry in maintaining a large homeless presence so that they always have money that's allocated to deal with the homeless situation, and that money gets filtered off?
It'd be the perfect ruse. I, as a politician, can say I allotted this money for homelessness. This is what I'm doing to help the homeless people.
Right.
Then I create, and then the leaders of these organizations can then take that money and say, "We are an organization that's helping the poor people," and then it's like do bare minimum, and then just the rest of the money just.
Well, think about this. If it's $430 million and there's only 100,000 people that are homeless, just give them that money, and those motherfuckers are rich. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, stop and think about it. If you just gave those 100, I mean, I suck at math, but what is that? Yeah. 430 million. You give it to 100,000 people. What is that? They mean they certainly have a lot of money.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a story here that after a 12% spike in homelessness, the city opened up 39 tiny houses as temporary homes.
Those 39 tiny houses cost $39,000.
Exactly.
So where's the rest of that money?
Yeah, for 66,400 people proposed.
Wow, but that's an amazing amount of money.
Here's the crazy thing.
$7,500 each unit costs.
You know what's funny about that?
And somehow it costs $5 million to do that.
I did a wow. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Each unit costs $7,500, but the total cost of the project ended up being $5 million, with money spent on water, power, and sewer lines at the site. Yeah. But meanwhile, they don't even use these things, and they become lawless shanty towns.
Here's a crazy thing. Did a documentary about Seattle. Was talking with this young lady. So they had the same kind of shanty towns in Seattle for all of the drug users, heroin addicts and stuff like that. You can't shoot up in those communities. You have to do it outside of the community. So what they'll do all the drugs on the streets. Then when they go into the shanty towns, they can't do drugs.
Is there police in the shanty towns to stop them from doing it?
I don't know how it works, but this is how she explained it to me. And she's like, that's why you see all the needles that you see in Seattle that are all over the place. Now, part of that, too, is, the needle exchange program, so forth and so on. That's a whole nother conversation.
I'm looking at things in a different way now because I didn't know there was that much money that was allocated towards homelessness and really no benefit. Now I'm thinking about it like a business. I think you might be right.
They got a state grant. They get a state grant that goes, towards Los Angeles. That would go maybe to another part of the state.
But bro, that's so much money. $430 million is so crazy that you can't do anything to fix it, and it keeps getting worse. So, is there anything that's written about the scandal of the $430 million allocated towards homeless people in Los Angeles? Like, where does that money go? Like, there should be a where.
This is before pandemic. Article from the LA Times. In 2019, LA spent $619 million on homelessness last year.
What? 619? 619 million on homelessness? Bro, what in the fuck is that?
The report would show likely little to no progress.
But this is 619 million in a year in 2019 when there was no pandemic.
So imagine what that.
And
that is crazy.
We're printing money at this point. So could you imagine what that's going to be into 2022?
Look at this. LA homeless housing costs have risen to 530. Go to the top one. $531,000 a unit. $531,000. For that, you could buy them a dope condo. 531,000. Oh, you have subscribed to the LA Times. Yeah, but you can get it in Silmar.
To go a little outside.
Just push them out. Give them a nice place to live. Say, hey, you can live here. You have a free condo. A $500,000 condo. That's crazy.
I mean, I guess there is something to be said about maintenance and so forth and so on.
But look at this. LA's $1.2 billion bond measure to combat homelessness.
You telling me no one's getting rich off of this?
Holy shit.
Come on now.
I didn't know. I just thought there was no money for it.
No,
I'm so naive.
There's definitely money.
What are you talking about?
What are
you talking about? They tax people to high hell in California.
I know, but I just thought that was allocated to other shit, like
no.
making sure that trans people have a good bathroom.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that happens too.
But that's nuts, man. That the amount of money that's involved in that is fucking bananas.
I just found an article that says, like, where is the money going? Let me see if it has anything interesting.
But that's a crazy scam. That's crazy.
I remember when I was sitting there across from it, and I was sitting and I'm looking around, I'm like, this is crazy. We were actually interviewing people who lived on the street, and they were telling us, they were like, and the funny thing is, she was like, even the affordable housing was too high for her to afford.
I do remember one part that, like, this is part of the problem is that when we were still living there, I remember there was like some area, maybe in Fresno or something we've talked about before. There's like a big area where a camp did set like sort of start, and there was a lot of fighting then where they would have a proposed new place to be built, and then the area would just like all the residents would fight that not like they would not want that in their area.
I think there's something we're not accounting for though too, is the drug use.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a lot of it is mental issues being exacerbated by drug use, and then you have the drug use aspect of it as well. So
for sure.
I think there is something to be said about the deterioration if you did create a certain environment for people to go out who are homeless to go and live. That being said, where the fuck is the money going?
Where the fuck is the money going? Dude, where the fuck is the money going? I didn't know. I feel like a fool. I feel like up until this point, I never took into account the possibility of massive corruption. Yeah. I feel like I thought about it in terms of like, what are you gonna do? Yeah. You know, because in Austin they have like 2,000 homeless people. It ain't shit. It's a lot.
We think it's a lot.
We think it's a lot, but it ain't shit. And you know, they think it's a problem they can fix, and they actually have some ideas on the table to fix it. They've got some plans.
I will say this: the one mitigating factor is Texas heat.
That's true.
That's a huge mitigating factor.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you'll die.
Yeah. Well, you know what they did in El Paso? They had it set up where they had an outside area and an inside area, and the inside area was heated and cooled. But you could go in the outside area, but you didn't have to be clean. But if you wanted to go in the inside area, they had to drug test you, and you couldn't use, and so they gave people an incentive to clean up, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah. I live in downtown Dallas, and so I live about a block or two away from a homeless shelter. So I deal with it. I mean, it's not anywhere near what you get with.
No, I've been. Yeah. I was there last year. It's a joke in comparison.
Yeah, I mean, I'll wake up in the morning sometimes. There's a guy standing out my front door yelling and screaming to himself, but by and large.
But you're in a Porsche Turbo and you're like, see you later, crazy man.
Yeah. I talk back sometimes.
Is there an article written on the corruption of the money that's gone to LA homelessness?
Yeah. I'm digging.
Oh, look at Jamie. Look at Jamie.
It's talking about like
Man.
just the develop how LA is just sounds like a cesspool of fuckery.
It is.
I mean,
a
look at
cesspool of
what they did.
developers
Look
and
at what they
money
did with what's the name of that damn street? The one.
Sunset,
Skid Row.
Oh.
Skid Street.
Oh.
There it is.
Yeah.
Like Skid Row. I mean, that was purposely designed.
They designed it.
Like,
yeah.
so-
yeah. Did you see that movie, the Netflix thing on the Cecil Hotel?
I watched a summary of it. Yeah.
There's a guy who's a historian on Skid Row, and that's the most fascinating thing about that thing about the Cecil Hotel was the historian explaining how Skid Row became Skid Row. They just pushed all the crazy people
into here,
and just
come
stay
into the
here,
area.
and they wouldn't let them leave. Like they have it boxed off. It's nuts, man.
Like they had it down, man. They were. Damn, they were.
And it's been like that for a long
I mean, down
time.
to the color of the lights in order to prevent you from leaving.
Isn't that nuts? Dude, when I lived in L.A., rather, when I was doing Fear Factor, we did it in downtown L.A. in the early 2000s. Skid Row was wild then.
Yeah.
Wild, man. Like, you know, it's just strange to think that there's no solution. Like, they're not trying to fix it. It's strange to think that they want to keep the homeless situation that way because then they get hundreds of millions of dollars of your tax money every year, and then they're raising taxes. There's proposals to raise it up to 16%.
I mean, but if you think about it, it just funnels through itself.
Yes.
It's a self-contained system.
But how do they expect people to stay there? That's what's nuts.
What do you mean?
Why do they expect people to stay in Los Angeles? I mean, they're
I didn't say they were good at what they did.
no. Right, they just take it now.
Yeah,
Fuck
it's
the
like,
city.
Like, let somebody else deal with that later when I get my money and I'm out of here.
You literally changed my perspective on the homeless situation. I
telling
didn't
you.
think of it that way.
So when I was with the NRA, right, when I was doing the programs that I was doing with the NRA, because I was always saying, why don't we get to the root of the issues, fix the root of the issues, right? So we said, okay, this season what we're going to do is we're going to travel to different cities that are problematic and see if we can get to the root of the issues. We went to Seattle, San Francisco, the Bay Area. We went to Compton. We went to Southside Chicago. I mean, we went everywhere. And for me, it was incredibly eye-opening. When your feet on the ground and you're seeing this shit in real time, you're like, holy shit. I mean, we were in South Central and they had a full shootout done on the street on the next street over while we were filming.
You heard it and everything?
Dude, we got the hell out of Dodge. I wasn't carrying because it's LA. So, from that, not that I would just run over and say, who's over here and start shooting, but there's something to be said about the fact that while we were filming about the underlying issues in this place, there was literally a shootout that happens the next street over. We have to stop filming, jump in the truck, and get the hell out of Dodge. So, yeah.
Fuck. I just never would have imagined that it's that much money that goes to homelessness and that there's actually a vested interest in keeping the problem and even maybe possibly making the problem worse so that then there's more money and then they don't have to account for that money.
Who's gonna question you about allocating money for homelessness?
Right.
No one.
And who's going to question you about where, like, is there a spreadsheet? Like, did they have to show you a breakdown analysis of? I wonder.
I mean, look, the government is notorious with wasting money, and they're notorious with throwing money at solutions. Even within my brand, I have a design called Defund Gun Control, right? Because people undervalue the amount of money that goes into gun control. Like you have places like Maryland. Maryland in I forgot it was like 2016, I think. They implemented what they call microstamping. Microstamping was their new hot and fancy way of marking firearms. Like you have microstamping in California right now with guns. You have to have a certain type of designator on the firing pin of a particular gun. And they claim that's going to be utilized to stop crime, to be able to solve crimes and so forth and so on. $15 million later, guess how many crimes it solved?
0.
$15 million, just like that.
And they don't have to account for that. So there's
no
one that says, hey.
Because it's about gun safety.
So because it's about gun safety, it's a protected class.
They're not. Who's going to question it? They're very good with language. Very good with language. That's why I went from gun control to reasonable gun control to gun safety. There's a progression. And Nancy Pelosi is on record saying this. She literally, yes. I forgot she was talking to a bunch of college students. She was like, they changed the name. They stopped saying gun control and they started saying gun safety. Because you can sell gun safety. You can't sell gun control as well because what does that designate? It's control.
Do you hear what she said about the Capitol Hill rioters?
No.
She would have fought them off.
With what? Her ice cream?
Headbutts. She'd take that numb head. She can't feel shit. All that Botox in her forehead, she would just fucking thump.
I didn't realize she was that rich.
Oh, she's so rich. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, how'd you make that money?
She is loaded.
Where'd you get that money? You're a public servant. Where are you getting that money?
I'm not one to count people's pockets, but damn. Like that, like she's loaded.
Hundreds of millions, right?
Oh, yes.
Where'd you get that money?
I don't.
There's a bunch of stuff with her and taxes this week, too. Someone, she like $1 million on Roblox. That game.
What?
Yeah.
She spent $1 million on Roblox?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Bro, my 10-year-old plays that game. That game is stupid as fuck.
Speculation, like stock speculation.
Great for a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
What? Stock speculation?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Roblox makes a fuckload of money.
There was something that happened too this week where like Microsoft got a huge contract and she put some money in Microsoft and they were like, if she did this, like insider trading kind of stuff.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah. She seems immune to all that stuff for some strange reason. She's very Teflon because she should have, that fucking whole beauty salon thing should have taken her down.
She's like, I think it was a setup. They set me up. It was a setup.
The setup? You didn't have a fucking mask on. You know you're supposed to wear a mask. You know the beauty salons are closed. You know how I know you know? Because I know, and I don't have any fucking hair. You're a goddamn lawmaker, and you didn't know that they were closed?
It was a setup. They set me up. I think they should apologize. It was a setup. I would have fought those Capitol Hill people off with my head.
What? What are you talking about?
I would have taken my clothes off and run at them.
Like, what? What are you doing, lady? She's got so much power.
Dude, it's crazy, man.
And you know what? It's like, for someone to fight that, you would have to get involved in politics so deeply. You would have to become an elected official. You'd have to get to Capitol Hill.
And that's assuming you get that far without being corrupted.
Right, and you'd have to get into that system.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What a mess.
I'm trying to compare LA's homeless problem to, like, let's say New York, right? They spend, it says, up from 2014 to 2019, $3.2 billion. And there they have to provide a place for a homeless person.
$3 billion?
And there's still, their numbers haven't gone down, and it's still around 60,000 in the city, is what it says.
They still haven't gone down. There's 60,000 people in New York City that are homeless? Mm-hmm. Jesus Christ.
Oh, my God.
It's a scam. It has to be a scam. It has to be.
So it's grown over 10,000 since de Blasio took over.
De Blasio. God damn, these people are gross.
It says a little-known fact that the city of New York is legally obliged to provide housing for those without it. But with the explosion of the city's homelessness population, you'd be forgiven for not knowing that.
How crazy is that money missing, though? That's bananas.
820
as his wife.
million.
So much money.
God.
Even if you just took 10% of that. 82 million just sitting around. Where'd it go? I had somewhere, whatever.
I had a dead set policy about getting into running for office. I think I might change that now. All of a sudden.
Know, right?
Like, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. 1% of that.
Yeah.
1%, you got $8 million. 1%'s missing. Whatever. It's 1%. What's 1%? Why are you being so picky? I'm trying to stop. Well, what am I trying to stop? Mental healthness.
Yeah.
Mental health problems. God, so it's just, and you know what, man? It's like, who is going to fix us? Who's going to help us? Who's going to change anything? Nobody. There's no one on the horizon. What?
I'm at a loss.
I'm at a loss, too. And that's why we all need guns. We'll bring it back around.
It's the same thing in this city, too. Not as much, but...
In Austin?
Yeah.
How much in Austin?
It says the city of Austin devoted $73.4 million in taxpayer funding, and they've only spent 57% of it.
Jesus. Millions yet. What does it say? Millions yet to be spent in the city of Austin funding for the homeless. Wow.
Good Lord.
That doesn't scare me as much, though. But there's not that many people here.
Yeah, it's way less people here.
Way less. Fuck, man. We're going to have to move to Montana where people freeze to death if they try to be homeless?
Mars.
Mars, yeah. Elon's going to ship the homeless people to Mars. Imagine if they're the first people to go to Mars. Yeah, give them free housing on Mars. You live inside the dome. Dude, this podcast is very important because you literally changed my opinion about homelessness. I didn't think there was any money being allocated towards homelessness. I looked at what was going on in L.A. and I was like, well, clearly they don't have any money.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. The fact that there's hundreds of millions of dollars.
The way you are right now was the way I was when I was doing that documentary. I was like, what?
I can't believe it. I really can't believe I can't believe how naive I am, too. That I just thought it was just a money problem.
No,
I'm like, well, maybe if we got more money, they would fix it. No, it's a goddamn pilfering scheme.
Yeah, it's perfect, too.
It's a Bernie Madoff is what it is. Oh, no,
Let's
you
see if
wowing?
this is correct.
What do you got?
I'm reading through lamayor.org, so this is, it sounds pretty official. How LA is responding to this thing from Mayor Garcetti's office. 5 years ago, less than $20 million in the city budget was earmarked for homelessness. Since then, it's gone up to $460 million.
And 5 years ago, there was no homeless people.
Holy
it was so
crap.
small in comparison.
So there's more and more money involved in it.
Mayor Garcetti also pushed for state funding to help accelerate the work of ending the homelessness crisis, a successful effort that resulted in an additional $166 million in state funding in 2018 and $270 million in 2019 to Los Angeles for homelessness services and housing.
Of which there is not much.
Of which there's not much homelessness service and housing, and the numbers of homeless people, more importantly, have radically increased. Wow, it's an industry. There's a homeless money industry. And the more homeless people there are, the more money they can get to conquer the homeless problem.
Wow.
What a fucking bummer way to end this podcast.
Funneling money into the bag.
That is crazy.
Yep. That's why we need more guns.
It is. But it does seem like that really is what's going on. I mean, otherwise, how else could it be that bad?
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense. Like
Right.
any human being can look at that and say that something's not right here.
So what was the number? 400 and what million this year?
60.
Okay. Divide 460 million by 100,000. Let's just say 100,000.
That's
Let's pretend.
460,000 then. You just take off those 3 zeros.
Oh, so that's 460,000 a person for every homeless
right.
person.
Hold on, let me do it again.
That can't be right.
I can't simplify it that easy. 60,000, 1, 2, 3, divided by, maybe it's all the zeros. Hold on. 1, 2, 3.
46,000?
Yeah, 4,600. Yeah, take off all the
4,600
zeros.
per
Yeah,
person.
I missed 3 zeros there. 4,600. Yeah.
Boy, you're way off.
Well, it is trying to do it quick. I'm typing
That's
and doing
terrible. Meanwhile, I couldn't do it either. No, 4,600 is nothing.
4,600
That's nothing.
times 100,000. And you get back to 460 million.
Wow, that's
So
4,600
4,600.
per person ain't shit.
Yeah.
They ain't gonna fix that.
They have a proposed thing in here to
for $1 trillion.
to subsidize.
Give every homeless person a Ursus.
They were going to use $800 million to subsidize rent for 18 months. That's one plan. And then once that 18 months is up,
You kill them.
then they have to pay full rent, I guess.
Good luck.
I think the biggest problem is the biggest driver of the homelessness is drugs.
Yes, and mental illness,
Yeah,
for
mental
sure.
illness, yeah.
Drugs and mental illness, and
Which-
but they go hand in hand.
Pretty much. Sad.
Motherfucker, that's crazy. That is a crazy. This whole thing is not like. And here's the thing: what do you do to fix it? You round them up and put them in jail? Like, what do you do?
That's a good point.
There's nothing you can do. And the way they've allowed it to spread, and people are moving out of Venice in droves. Venice is crazy because Venice used to be like bulletproof. Like you could always buy a home there in Venice, and it would always be worth a good investment. But not anymore.
Wow.
I have friends that live in Venice. They can't. They're trying to get out. They can't sell their house. They're like, people used to be able to sell houses easy in Venice, and now people are just selling everything. They're just like, we're getting out.
Fuck.
And this is like not that long ago.
Yeah.
Like, I think Google started moving into Venice just a few years ago, and then housing went way up, and everybody who lived there was really pumped. They're like, dude, it's great place to live now for an investment. I'm selling my house.
I mean, last time I was in Venice, I thought this place is weird as fuck.
It's weird as fuck. It's weird as fuck. Well, that's where my favorite restaurant is. There's a place called Felix on Abbot Kinney. It's fucking amazing. Shout out to Janet and Evan, the people who own and the head chef there. It's incredible, but it's in a shithole. It's like, the place is, when you're driving around there, man, it's just all these weirdos and sketchy people and like walk quick, get to the restaurant. Like you park your car and you're like, I hope it's here when we get back. It's like, and if it's not, guess what? Nobody gives a shit. And if somebody breaks into your car, don't even bother calling the police. Because unless they did more than $900 worth of damage,
they're allowed to.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like people are breaking into cars and just stealing their shit, stealing people's grills out of their backyard.
I haven't heard because we haven't run out there. Is there like a hard line between Santa Monica and Venice now, and you can tell, or is it?
No, there's a lot of homelessness in Santa Monica. A lot. I saw a lot last time I was there.
Because I haven't been there in a while, and I kind of forgot how close they are.
They're
right next
close
to each other.
Malibu is trying to do something about it. That's where you get the Richie Riches. They stop people from parking their caravans on the PCH. You know, people that have those camper vans that they live in.
Where the hell do they get those things?
I don't know, man, but there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
That's like classy homeless people.
Yeah.
Like they're homeless, but they can drive around.
Those are people who've made a lifestyle out of it.
Yeah, they've committed.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can live like that, and you're kind of still living. Like a lot of those things have potable water. You can take a shower. You know, it's like you're kind of alive. You just don't have an apartment.
Yeah.
It's better than.
But I mean, you think about it though. If your sole purpose is to get high,
yeah.
All you need is bare minimums, and then get high. That's your revolving life.
And you don't even really have to drive it. You just have to park it somewhere. And if they're allowing you to park on a lot of these streets and keep it there, you got an apartment.
Pretty much.
You can lock it and when you leave and everything. Fuck, dude. Is there a way to cheer me up before we wrap this up?
You go shoot.
I wish I could. I got things to do, man. I got to get my kids. Today's a rough day for that.
No, you're good.
But we'll do it another day for sure.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
we should go to we can go to the range, but we should go outside.
I don't. I prefer shooting outside.
I know you took Schaub to one of them tactical courses with all the tires and stuff. Where's that? Is that in Dallas?
Yeah, that's TDSA in Ferris, Texas.
Well, next time I do a gig in Dallas, I'll come a day early and take me to that, and we'll make a video, have some fun.
Yeah, we can do that for sure.
Well, listen, man, I appreciate that you're out there. You're a very important voice. You're a voice of reason and understanding and logic and information, and you know what the fuck you're talking about. And that's in this world, that's a rare thing.
Thanks,
man. And thank you.
Yeah, I'll keep at it. Hopefully, I'll stop reading the comments.
Definitely stop reading the comments.
Stop reading the comments.
All right. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Goodbye, everybody.